Good morning, I'm Steve Thompson. I'm president of Emery Thompson Machinery. We're a 110-year-old American corporation, a family business. I'm third-generation manufacturer of ice cream machinery, and I'll let Tie-Dye Jeff introduce himself.
I'm Jeff.
Well, you can do better than that.
I'm Tie-Dye Jeff.
Tie-Dye Jeff has his own ice cream parlor, and he began here a number of years ago, just like you, sitting in the class. And
I'll do this.
Now you'll talk. Go ahead.
Well, now it's 9 o'clock.
Yes, we're going.
I sat in the back just like Ian over there. That's exactly where I sat about 5 years ago now.
Wow, time flies.
And when I saw this gentleman making ice cream, I thought, well, I could do better than that, which is what you're all thinking right now, or you will be as soon as you taste everything. And so I opened an ice cream store, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. Now we have about 3,500 square feet, and that's it. And I've got a book if you want it, and I do a boot camp, which many of you will be there tomorrow. So without further ado.
Instead of thinking, well, look at this miserable son of a, he's taking all my thunder that he expresses that he makes better ice cream than I do. The fact is he does. He makes far better ice cream than I do. And I think that's the whole purpose of these classes and the tape, is that we can show you the basics of it. But as you go forward, we teach hundreds and hundreds of people every year, and every single one of them has a different product from what we make, from what the person sitting next to them makes. They're all different because you have the basics, just like a mathematical formula, but you add your own finesse to it, your own style. And that's what makes every ice cream parlor around the world completely different from the next. And I think that's an awful lot of fun, to be able to stand up here and say that Jeff makes a better ice cream than I do, because he does it every day.
And he's put
a lot of effort into it. Just a quick overview, because I know a lot of you have seen our videos, but this is a batch freezer. This is what my grandfather was using back in 1903 when he ran an ice cream parlor, the largest ice cream parlor in Manhattan. Now, a batch freezer, I compare it to your oven at home. For a moment, we could call your oven at home a batch oven. You put a batch of steak into the oven. You put a batch of tater tots into the oven. You put a bean casserole into the oven. Or cookies. The oven doesn't know what it's doing. It's just a big source of heat. You put the ingredients in, and after a certain amount of time, you don't take one cookie out or one slice of steak and leave the rest in, like you do with a soft ice cream machine. Soft ice cream machine, you go over, pull the handle, take one cone out. We take the whole batch out when it's ready. Why? Because if we left it in there, that medium rare steak would be charred within a couple of minutes because the heat is still attacking it. So a batch freezer, these machines, they don't have brains. They don't know what they're doing. We instruct it what to do by adjusting the speed with the infinite overrun control. But otherwise, you're controlling the quality of the product. And that's the beauty of it. What you put in is what you're going to get out. So today we're going to make all sorts of different things. And every one of them is going to be a batch of product. You'll see the ingredients go in, and it'll all come out. And just like this thing that my grandfather was using. So it's really making the same ice cream, what we call old-fashioned homemade ice cream. So let me get started. I want to sanitize the machine. I want to kill off any bacteria that might have been in there from the last time I ran it. And the simplest way to do that is with just water and a chlorine-based product. I use a product called Sterashine. It's available anywhere in the world. It's a chlorine-based product. It's extremely good. It's going to kill off any bacteria. And you follow the instructions on this and just run some cold water through the machine, and you'll be good to go. As long as you don't open up the machine or put your hands in there or anything else, it will remain sterile for as long as you want to make the ice cream. So we'll just drop that in, stir that up. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Is this the time you're going to tell them what not to use?
Well, I said that it's chlorine-based, and another reason I like to have this is health departments are going to come in. They're going to inspect everything that you do. I'm going to pour a little of that out. You could, in a pinch, if you're in a remote region and you can't get Sterashine that day, you could use a cap, not a cup, but a cap full of Clorox bleach or chlorine bleach to a gallon of water. That will do the same job. The only thing is a U.S. health inspector looks at it and says, oh my gosh, you're using chlorine. And I used to fight the good fight and say, yeah, but what do you think I put in my swimming pool to kill bacteria? Well, they just don't buy that. So your best bet is to use a commercial product like this. Now, as soon as this hits the metal parts of the machine, your machine is sanitized. However, most health departments want you to run it for 30 seconds, a minute, whatever their recommendations are. You just follow it. So we're going to turn on the infinite overrun control, set it for a full speed, and start. I'm not turning on the refrigeration. Right now, the barrel, the agitator or dasher in the machine is spinning, and it's throwing the product all around the barrel, sanitizing it. There's no refrigeration on. If I turned on the refrigeration switch, all of a sudden it would make a giant ice cube because all I have in there is water and chlorine. There's no sugar to freeze, there's no dairy to freeze, so it would just be a big, huge mass of ice. Yes, question.
What we completed was about 8 months we started place. We started last August making ice cream. Right now we're selling it as fast as we can make it. We were here last year. But with the stair machine, now what we do is we keep it at the put out of there. We pour our own open it.
Yeah.
As we make ice cream, we take it back out and we sweep the ice cream stuff. You know, we're crazy stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to repeat, as you ask questions, I'm going to repeat them because the audience doesn't have a microphone on. You said you've been making ice cream. You attended the class before, last year, and I do keep the Sterashine off to the side because everything that's going to come in contact with it can now be sanitized. I put that in there, it's clean. If I'm actually using my hands, which sometimes you do, you're throwing in chips, I am now more sanitary than I was. So yes, I like to keep this off to the side, right like that, and it'll be there. Also, you'll see me look for everything. I lose everything. So this way, at least Jeff can say, Steve, it's in the bucket. Do you rinse afterwards?
No, I don't do that.
You don't do that. Okay.
I do it at the end of the run.
Okay.
I sterilize at the end of the run when I'm done for the day. And then I close up the machine and leave it in the morning. And it's only because I'm nuts about that smell of chlorine infiltrating the ice cream, which of course it probably doesn't, but so I don't do that.
And as you'll see as we go along today, Jeff and I disagree about everything. He's a liberal and I'm not, and he's wrong. But he's allowed to be wrong. He's a very successful ice cream parlor, so that gives him the right to be wrong. The health department says that by leaving it overnight, airborne bacteria, dengue fever, Ebola, measles, everything in the air is attacking your machine and is sitting there on the parts. By doing it just before you make the ice cream, you are killing everything off. If you read and follow the instructions, which Jeff knows I don't, there will not be enough sanitizer left on there to ever taste it in the product. I do like to rinse afterwards. Connie, you hit the switch, the lights. Thanks. Thought we had a brownout.
I have a question.
I do like to rinse it to be safe, but I had a health inspector tell me that I was now contaminating the machine with the water. I said, that may be true, but at some point in time you got to give and take because this is the water that we drink. This is the water we make Italian ice out of. There's got to be a point where you say it's clean enough. You had a question?
Yes. Do you sanitize every time you make a different flavor? Or just
No.
Do you sanitize every time you make a flavor? No. As long as I don't open this up and touch anything, it's sanitary. So if we were not in a classroom situation but in a production situation where we're going to make 5 batches of vanilla, 7 batches of mint chip, 9 batches of something else, we would plan our production from light flavors down to dark. So I would make vanilla, I would then make strawberry, I would then make, say, Bordeaux cherry, because the Bordeaux cherry is darker than the strawberry. Though they're both fruits, it'll cover it up. Then I'd make black raspberry, and then I would rinse the machine out. When we take the ice cream out of here today, or the ices, we'll keep the beater running to help push the product out, the last bit of product, because it's thick, and the design of our dashers will shove it out nicely. This is just water, and so if I open this, it's going to be like Shamu the whale. You're going to get soaked in the front row. So I turn it off because water is more liquid than ice cream. And I drain that out. The barrel is slightly pitched forward when we manufacture it, so if your floor is level, it's going to drain everything out. If your floor isn't level, then you just shim it up in the back a bit. But for the most part, floors are pretty good.
With my mic clip.
And so that's ready to go. And if I don't open this machine for the next 5 hours, I'm fine. If I take a 45-minute lunch break, which would be a luxury, I would probably come back and re-sanitize. Because although the machine is super cold, I think 45 minutes is a little bit of time to go. You're dealing with food products, so you want to be as absolutely clean as you can. Now, I just did Jeff's machine when I'm actually going to use mine. So let me run over here and just sanitize this real quick.
Steve,
Yes.
can you move the CD 350 to the left?
I don't do anything to the left.
It's the man behind
You mean
the
the
curtain.
other conservative side?
The other right.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Okay, stop that. This shelf is adjustable to any size bucket that you're going to use. I'm just going to slip this under here. And then we'll be good for the day to get going and make product. I'm going to make a lemon ice first because, whoops, we're going to do something that nobody's seen before, not on video or in any of my classes. I'm going to make rainbow Italian ice. And it's very popular, and I think you'll get a kick out of how it's done. Like everything else in the Italian ice business, if you ask someone who's in the business how to do it, they won't tell you anything. They'll tell you that their great-great-grandfather from Genoa, Italy, brought the secrets over with them from Italy, and it's been handed down in the family. Well, there is no great-great-grandfather from Genoa. It's me. I'm not a grandfather. I haven't been to Genoa, but I know more about Italian ice than anyone in the industry because my family's been doing it for 110 years. You don't have to be Italian to make an Italian-named product.
Doesn't hurt.
It can't wait. Let me just get up some of this water before. Okay. So we're ready to go. It would have been easier if I just lowered the shelf.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
No, it's more fun to make a mess. All right.
You took my bucket.
I took your bucket. Okay, we're going to start with 3 quarts of water. Could I trouble you for 3 quarts of water?
Sure. Took my bucket.
One of the questions I get is, if I'm making Italian ice, do I have to purify the water? Well, the answer is a very definitive yes and no. Just like bagels. Everybody from New York knows you can't make a bagel anywhere but New York because of the water. So we think. It's not quite as true with Italian ice, but it does have some effect. Here in Brooksville, Florida, north of Tampa, the water is absolutely horrendous. It tastes like liquid rock. It has so many minerals in it. And it's just not something you'd ever want to drink. But if I'm selling Italian ice here in Brooksville, The people of Brooksville grew up here. They've been drinking the water since they were children. All their lives they drank the water. They don't know it's bad. Only us out-of-towners who moved in know that the water's terrible. So if I'm going to open up an Italian ice business in Brooksville, I don't need to filter the water because we're used to the taste. If I go to Miami, where everybody's a tourist, everybody's from the north, they know what the water tastes like when it's bad. So yes, you'd want to put in a Culligan system and filter the water before you make your Italian ice. So for most of you, anywhere around the country, around the world, you're not going to have to filter the water because your customers are local. So we've got 3 quarts of water. I'm going to step off camera and get the lemon juice. I fresh squeezed last night.
Any questions? Really? What?
Where do you buy those white buckets?
Ah, where do you buy these white buckets? Good question. Where do you buy these white buckets?
I won't even ask. I've learned not to ask. I can go back and review the tape, but by that time, he's an hour away and he doesn't care what he said. I checked last night. 4 lemons or 4 pounds of lemons equals 1 quart of lemon juice. 18 lemons is a quart. So I've got a quart here, but my thing says we're only going to use 8 ounces. So I have a nice little cup here. And I'm going to taste this before I make it to make sure it's exactly what I want.
This is lemon juice?
Yeah.
Looks like orange.
It's lemon. Fresh squeezed. I squeezed it myself.
Really?
2 ounces of fresh orange juice. This adds to the flavor and cuts the bite
That's the
a little
secret,
bit.
by the way.
Yes, I know. That's why I do it. Okay. So that's in there. So far, everything all natural, all fresh, no chemicals, no artificial, nothing. My sugar, I need, where is it here? Lemon juice, orange juice, 1 3/4 pounds of sugar.
1 3/4 pounds of sugar. 1 3/4 pounds of sugar.
A good scale is really handy, and a digital scale that you can tear to 0 just makes time so much easier. What? I know, you save money. You've got 2 rocks, and
No.
2 rocks weigh a certain amount, and you've got the sugar on the other, and you balance
In
it.
all the books that you read on starting up a business, they tell you to get one of these $300 scales.
Oh, yeah, it's way too expensive.
And what I use is the $5 scales. And when they break, which they don't, by the way, you throw them out, but they don't break. They're fine. And they do have a 0 reset, and they're fine. 1 3/4 pounds?
Yeah. No, they work great. This scale was stolen from Malcolm Stogo, and I'm not giving it back, so that's why I like having it.
If you use sugarcane sugar, is it the same as regular sugar?
Yes, sugar cane, isn't it? Sugar cane. Sugar comes from sugar cane. It's refined at the factory and bleached so that it's pure white. They also have some additives in there that they don't want you to know about that keeps it from clumping. We had this discussion the other day that Jeff said that the cheap sugar clumped and the good stuff doesn't. Well, the good stuff clumps too if you keep it long enough. There's Domino, and that cost a lot of money to put it in that package. Here's Publix brand, and it costs a bit less, and it's the same stuff. And I just wanted to show you, because I like to show you when you're wrong. What do you see in there? Clumps.
I don't believe that's the real sugar.
Can we see this? No, that is. That's
you
that's
switched
clumps
the
in there,
sugar.
folks. That's
You
clumps.
switched the sugar.
I didn't switch the sugar. It's all a matter of
Look,
age.
the
You know,
guy
you
makes a hell
started
of a
getting
machine.
clump. You
He
started
makes
getting
a great machine. He won't skip on the stainless steel. When you use sugar, for a 25-pound bag, it's less than $1. 25-pound bag, less than $1 from the Restaurant Depot, a Walmart brand, to Domino's. And trust me, the Domino's is better sugar.
And if you listen to him, he'd skin me alive for $1. So it doesn't make a difference.
No
But
argument there.
we leave that to yourselves. I'm going to pour this in here. I don't want you pouring it into the machine because sugar acts like sandpaper. And although my blades, which I'll show you a little later, are designed to last 5 years, you go throwing sandpaper into a machine and it's not going to do any good. So in order to save the longevity, I put it in here. Sugar dissolves very, very quickly. You don't need to heat it up. You know, you can read all sorts of wives' tales and cookbooks, which are wrong. You don't need to heat it up. It dissolves very nicely in here. Now, before I make this, I'm going to taste it. If I'm making ice cream, which we will today, when you taste Jeff's ice cream, it's fantastic. But guess what? When you taste it tomorrow, it's even better because the flavor blooms overnight. That's not true. That's dairy. It's not true with Italian ice. Italian ice, what you see is what you get. What do you think?
It's good.
Does it need anything?
In my opinion?
In your opinion?
My opinion, it needs more lemon juice.
All right. That's what I thought too. So let's go for a little more.
I like bolder flavors.
I do too. Want to try that? We can go bolder still. That's why I made extra. And so you take my world's best lemon ice formula and adapt it to your personal taste.
There's a pit in there.
Good. Adds character. Still more?
You know what I'm tasting? I'm tasting that the orange juice is overpowering the lemon juice.
Huh. Well, how do you like it overall?
It's good.
Okay, we'll go with that. You heard him. So when he says later, oh, you know, I could have made this so much better. The things I have to suffer, I'm telling you. And I have eyes behind my back, even though you were the... See, he's a school teacher.
Okay, I did this.
You know, all this is caught on tape, Jeff, and you're going to detention later. Okay, we pour that in. Now, with the infinite overrun control, you can select the product and control the speed, which then controls the consistency. I'm going to hit Italian ice right there, start, and now the machine's running. I'm going to turn on the refrigeration. There that goes. I'm going to pick out a cheap timer and set it for, I don't know, we'll look at it after 10 minutes. Just put there. I have all sorts of cheap timers. My bookkeeper gave me that one. That's really cool. And I've got another one here. I don't put timers on my machinery. Everybody says, oh, you got to have a timer on the machine. The Italians put a timer on. Well, that doesn't make it right. It makes it expensive. In order for this $6 timer to go onto this machine, it would cost about $230 in parts. It would have to be Underwriters Laboratories approved. It would have to be National Sanitation Foundation sealed, which this certainly is not. And when it breaks, because it will break, it'll take down the whole machine. So Saturday afternoon, your whole machine goes down because of a $6 timer. With my machine, I just throw this away and go buy another one. You know, it's really that simple. Because no two products are alike. In Italian ice especially, the sugar content determines the freezing time. My lemon ice formula could take roughly 16 minutes to freeze. If I make strawberry Italian ice, now I've got sugar, water, and strawberries. You ever eat a strawberry as opposed to a lemon? Lemons are bitter. Strawberries are sweet. That's fructose. So you're adding more sugar to the formula. More sugar, longer freezing time. So strawberry Italian ice, when we make it today, will take a little bit longer than this one. So I could set up...
What do we have this for?
I'm through with it. That's what I squeeze my lemons with. I could have a timer on here, and I've done trade shows against other people's machines, and the guy goes over and sets the timer, and I think Cappigiani calls it the Heart-O-Matic, or the Heart-O-Tronic. And it's set for ice cream, so exactly at 8 minutes, the machine shuts down. Well, that's great, except you're making Italian ice and your product isn't ready. So he's got to go over when no one's looking and just turn the machine back on. So this process is not mechanized. I was at Penn State last week teaching, and I was next to Cappigiani, and I got such a kick out of what they were telling people because, Jeff, you wouldn't believe it. It made no sense at all. He said with our machine, our Cappigiani, we can set the timer, and we're making tiramisu gelato. And when it's ready, the machine will shut itself down. and it'll wait for you to come to it. He said you could be out at the grocery store for 2 hours and come back, and the
boy.
product will be waiting for you.
No,
Would
that's-
you want to eat a cake that is sat in your oven for 2 hours? Even if the temperature did go down to nothing, that cake's drying out. It's sitting in your oven of all things.
Did he mean they have a sensor for the consistency of the product?
Yes, and so it shuts down the whole machine. And he said, literally, you could go to the grocery
Well,
store
but
for 2
you
hours.
and I like our things differently.
That's
I
right.
mean, I like it pulled loose, you like it pulled firm.
That's right. So you can't do that with their machine because they've already determined what you're going to make.
Don't leave the room when your machine is running,
Yeah.
for anything.
And don't take phone calls. And don't
Well,
talk to your friends. You're here. If you were running a bakery, you would not be out front serving cookies or going out to buy flour and then coming back. You would say, okay, I'm going to bake for the next 4 hours. You're going to make ice cream for the next 4 hours. That's your job, to build up an inventory of ice cream and ices. And then when you're finished after that 4 hours, then you'll go do other stuff. So we have made and we have 110 years of experience of making this process as simple as can be. But it's still a process just like cooking. You don't throw some steaks on the grill and then go sit down and have a couple of beers with your friends. You stand there by the steaks waiting until they're perfectly ready to serve. Go ahead, say a
No,
couple
that's
things.
fine.
No,
That's
I'll just float around.
You want to do this now?
Yeah, what we're going to show you today is something that I've made,
Ingenious.
and this is just a prototype to show you the size. I wanted clear so that you'll see the red, white, and blue ice that we're going to make today. We're going to make rainbow ice. Rainbow ice is usually 3 colors, and the way you do it, what a commercial company does, which is really not an ice, it's just frozen sugar water. They have a machine with 3 nozzles and they're injecting 3 flavors in. Well, that's fine if you have $500,000 for a 3-nozzle machine that makes 1,000 gallons an hour minimum. We are batch freezers and we are entrepreneur people and small business people. We cater to you. So I'm making this available. This I made for here, but we're going to make it for a larger size that's going to fit in so that it'll fit these this size containers, the ones that we use. And it's very simple. I'm going to make the lemon, and then I have several of these, and I'm going to fill up one section with the lemon ice. And then a little later on in the morning, I'm going to make strawberry ice, and I'll fill up another section with strawberry. And then this afternoon, I'm going to bake blue raspberry, which its only redeeming quality is it's bright blue, but kids love it. And I'll make the blue ice. And then when it's all finished, I'll take this out, and I'll have red, white, and blue in my container, and I will scoop in a semicircular motion, picking up all 3 flavors. And that's rainbow ice. And there is not a video anywhere else on YouTube that you can look at today where you're going to find out the secret of how to make rainbow ice or how to do it. So this is available from us in the larger version for making your rainbow ice when you get to that point. It's a very popular product with children, which, while this is still running, brings me up to, no, I'll have to save it for later. It's almost ready. But we're going to talk later about the different flavor levels, fresh fruit, bases, and extracts. And you will use all 3 in your business. But just an example, the blue ice is just laden with all sorts of blue dye and all sorts of other horrible stuff in it. But you know what? You don't want to just say, I'm not going to sell something that's blue because I know it's got blue dye in it. There are certain times in business that you've got to say, this is what children really like. So I will concede this one flavor away from my all-natural to sell to children. If you're running a health food store, you're not going to sell blue ice. I mean, it's really that simple. So let me just check this product. Can I take this?
Sure.
Okay, that's not ready yet. It's still soupy, and it's got a ways to go, but I just wanted to see how we're doing. And as you'll see today, everything goes into the Emery Thompson. We're the only machine on earth that everything goes in. By everything, I mean nuts, cookies, candies, whole fruit. I can take whole bananas and just drop them right in the machine. And what that means for you is for every particle of, say, an ice cream, in every particle of cream, there's a particle of banana next to it. So we have a much more intense flavor than anyone else. I tell people all the time, we make a far better gelato than the Italians do. Because when I'm making when they're making fruta di Bosco, which is just a fancy term for mixed berries, mixed fruit, they're adding the fruit at the end. So they're making vanilla gelato with fruit added to it. When I make fruta di Bosco, my fruit goes right into, half of my fruit goes right into the machine. It gets ground up like a Cuisinart. So if you were blindfolded and you tasted it, you would say, yeah, that's fruta di Bosco. I can taste the different flavors of fruit. But you take the blindfold off, and what you see is a pale red ice cream or gelato from the fruit all being ground up, and there were some raspberries in there. So I take my second half of my fruit. If I'm using, say, a pound of fruit, half a pound goes in the machine. The other half I shake in as it's coming out. So I'm getting fruit flavor in the machine and fruit identity. I can see what it is as it's coming out. They can't do that. Everything is basically what we call commercial grade, where you have to add it at the end. The reason they can't do it is their barrels aren't strong enough, their dashers aren't strong enough, and our openings are so large that we can get everything in and out very quickly. So let me take another look at this. Normally, I would be, if I was a regular ice cream maker like Jeff, I would know exactly what the timing was, and I would be over like Jeff is doing. He's getting his ricotta ready, he's measuring out his different things. And when
Use this.
That's nice. And when the bell goes off, he says, oh, I got a minute to get back and check the machine. But I don't make ice cream every day, so I'm going to just be a little more cautious. Now that's a nice consistency. And see how pure white that is? That's because there is no artificial anything in there. Sugar, water, and flavor. If I really, thank you, I knew it. If I really wanted to jazz it up, I would take about 6 California lemons, grate the outside skin off that a chef calls a zest, you know, like with a cheese grater, and I'd have a pure white field with little specks of lemon in it. It would be beautiful. So now with my divider, I'm going to fill this up. Okay, let me just tap that down. So there's my first third of the 3 flavors. And I'll put that in the freezer until we make the next flavor.
He's a disaster.
Okay, now the rest of this I'll take out into a container so that you can get to taste it. But look how fast that comes out, nice and firm, all natural. You just couldn't have a better product.
Bowls.
Bowls?
Right.
Yes, we have bowls here somewhere, Chief Bowls. You just have to look around. I know
Okay,
Paul.
I've looked around.
All right, then you take over this,
Okay.
and I will go look for the bowls because they're going to be here somewhere.
Bowls.
Thank you. See? Told you we could do this. And we'll make a little room up front here. Now, of course, if you're going to buy lemons at the supermarket, it's going to cost you one price. If you buy them by the case, the more you buy, the price goes down. So 3 gallons of this product probably costs about $4, $4.50. So $4.50 for a large tub of lemon ice, all fresh, all natural, as compared to what you would buy at wholesale for, say, $30, which is just going to be vanilla. I mean, it's just going to be water, sugar, and a lemon extract. So come on up and try this and see if it isn't the best you ever had.
Are we done with this?
I'm done with that.
Okay.
Come on, everybody up.
Everybody up.
You better get used to this. You're going to be doing it all day.
Now, Steve, how does this look tomorrow and the day after? Does it keep that consistency?
Yes, it'll keep this.
Depends on your freezer
Yes, it will keep
temperature,
this
of course.
consistency. You keep it at 16 degrees Fahrenheit. With no, and I don't put any stabilizers in it because I don't need them. Cold is the world's best stabilizer.
Okay.
If I'm going to wholesale this to a pizza parlor, I would put in a natural stabilizer. There's a company
where do you
called
get them,
Main
huh?
Street Ingredients, and it's nothing more than guar, which is a gum, and carrageenan, which is seaweed.
Yeah.
And I would put, it's about an ounce to a 5-gallon batch.
Yeah.
And I would put that in just to help bind it together. If you go into an old-fashioned ice cream or Italian ice business or a pizza parlor in Astoria, Queens, the server will flip back the lid, and you'll see the server reaching in, and their arm is going like this. The server,
No, I
there's a
put
little
the
puddle
machine.
of lemon that has formed over the past 5 days. The
not
server's
gonna
just
break up.
remixing that before they then
Putting it
hand
back
it to
in.
you and give it
Yeah.
to you. But that's all you have to do.
Putting stuff in afterwards is not as easy as you think. That's why these machines, and I don't work for him, but that's why these machines are
Your
absolutely
temperature is
the best.
too cold in
Throw
your
everything
freezer.
in there.
You've got to
Let the
raise it up
machine
to
do the work
about
for you.
somewhere between 13 to 16 degrees.
Okay.
The chalky or the clumpiness is not the chemicals,
Okay,
it's
it's just
the
because it's
temperature.
too cold.
It's too cold, yeah. People get it too cold. And a normal dipping cabinet, when you buy it, is not set up for Italian ice. You have to have it ordered with a separate thermostat.
So I should have a separate freezer for my Italian ices.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's- we have 2 freezers. One
right.
relatively larger. I mean, I just wonder if it was just the xanthan gum or anything like that.
How about that? We just made it.
This recipe just makes that amount. What if you want to make a bigger amount?
You get a bigger machine.
You get a bigger machine.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's that simple. I can give you 11 gallons in the same time that it took this.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, this is 2015. So as a reference point, when you're looking at this 30 years later, this machine today is $9,950 plus shipping and no tax. So it's very affordable to get you into the Italian ice business. Yes? Right there. Didn't you have a question?
No, if you put this in the freezer, is it gonna get rock hard?
It is if your freezer's too cold. This product
You
needs...
want to put this in a batch freezer, you want to just put this in a regular freezer?
That's a batch freezer.
No, I mean.
A chest freezer.
A hardening cabinet.
It never goes in a hardening cabinet. It goes directly into a cabinet that's at 16 degrees. Off camera is this small cabinet there, and that would be set up for 16 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the ideal temperature for a fresh ice. The more chemicals you put in the ice, the colder you can take it. So if I walk into an ice cream parlor and I see mint chip and I see lemon ice next to each other, I leave. Because I know that lemon ice is loaded with chemicals in order to keep it. Ice cream's at 6 degrees. And if my ices are down at 6, it's got antifreeze in it in the form of stabilizers.
I didn't put any stabilizer in mine, but.
There's no stabilizer in this.
Right, but when I put it in the freezer, it got rock hard.
Your freezer's too cold.
Okay, okay.
See, I use stabilizer, and when I opened hers up, yeah, we were playing with it, she has a kitchen, one day I got the next. But when I opened it up, hers looked bad at the time, where I opened up the stuff, I made a stabilizer, it looked fine.
This,
And it seemed more like this.
the shelf life of this product is about 4 or 5 days.
Oh, that's it.
At serving temperature of 16 degrees. If I want to keep it for 6 months, well, I can't get in there right now. I have stuff that we made a month ago, and it's down at 0. It's as hard as a rock, and if I temper that back up, if I bring that up to temperature overnight to 16 degrees, it'll be as good as the day I made it. Cold is the best stabilizer on earth. Go ahead.
Okay, a few things. This is why an ice cream store, whatever you're going to open, you'll probably want to specialize in either Italian ice, cream ice, or ice cream. Otherwise, you need to replicate your freezers and dedicate them to Italian ices, cream ice, and ice cream, which means you'll go from -5 up to 15. So the freezer that you have your ice cream in, if you put Italian ices in there, you got a block of cement. You can't scoop it. You can't serve it. In my opinion, in my knowledge, tempering Italian ices, if you've made them to freeze and then 6 months or a month later bring them out, in my history, tempering doesn't work. Because when Italian ices thaw out, they're going to get soupy on the outside, and they're going to turn to water, and then by the time the inside is done, you've got a mess. Just my opinion.
Yeah, and he's wrong.
It got like syrupy when we pull the top off.
The way you temper
The best thing to do is to sell it as you make it. And it will last longer than 3 days. What did you say it lasts? 3 days?
3 days.
It'll last longer than that.
If you want to temper a product, because you're selling to a restaurant and you want to deliver to them frozen at 0, you have them, every chef knows this, they take a 0-degree product and they put it in the refrigerator and let it sit in the refrigerator for about, if they're going to serve it at 7 tonight, they put it in the refrigerator at 5. It all warms up together. It doesn't melt around the outside. But the real key, what Jeff is saying, without coming right out and saying it, is this is a fresh product. What you should do is wake up at 6 in the morning, get your cup of coffee, turn on Fox News, and say, what's the weather look like for the weekend? This is Wednesday, and it's going to be a beautiful, gorgeous weekend, 85 degrees here in Florida. I'm lying through my teeth. It's going to be 27. It's going to be 85 degrees. We're going to sell a lot of Italian ice. Let's go down to the store, make a lot of Italian ice. We've got it for the weekend. If the weather forecast says it's going to be 27 degrees and raining, well, stay home, have another cup of coffee. You're not going to sell any ice this weekend, so don't make it. You make it fresh as you need it, as best you can for your retail business. The fresher, the better. If I could make this morning and sell it this afternoon, nothing better on earth. Nobody can touch it. Your turn to make something.
Okay. I've been in business. I sat there 5 years ago, and I hope he's watching. Somebody gave me a recipe just a few days ago, about a week ago, for an amazing product. It's cannoli. He gave me the recipe for cannolis. He makes cannolis in New York and Italian pastries, which is that cannoli cream. And he's so fantastically popular and successful that he has to send them refrigerated over the country. And it's very costly, but these are tremendous Italian pastries with cannolis and cannoli cream. So what I did, I think he inadvertently gave me his amazing recipe for cannolis. I don't know that he wanted to, but I was listening, and I'm always looking for things like this. Anyway, I took that recipe, and I went back to my kitchen in the store, and I played with it. And sure enough, this is, in my history of making ice cream, this is the most fantastic thing I've ever made. And it's cannoli ice cream. So we'll make some here. I've made it, I made it last week in the store, and it sold out like that. And then I made it again and a third time. My batches are about 8 gallons each. And I serve and store my ice cream in 1-gallon containers. He doesn't have those here. Oh, yes, 1-gallon containers. These are the containers, not this hard plastic, but these are the size that I work with in the store. And the girls actually serve from that. All right, let's get down to it. We'll get into the cost of everything, but suffice, don't worry what you're spending on a batch of ice cream. You can't spend too much money. I figure my batches cost me about $40, $50, $60 a batch to make, which is ridiculous in the industry when you can take a jar of this and make a batch for, $10. But I don't do that, and you, of course, will make up your own mind. Let's make cannoli ice cream. So cannoli ice cream, we're going to start, in case you're not familiar, this is how your mix comes. It comes in these bladders, and the mix is a combination, Steve knows better, but it's skim milk, whole milk solids, a little bit of sugar, and I guess some other stuff. I don't know. So this, we're going to make it in this machine. My machine at the store, which you'll use tomorrow, those people, is a larger machine. So here we're going to make half a recipe. I feel like I'm talking way too much.
Is that a 14% mix we're running? Water fan mix?
No, I hope not. I use, the question is this a 14% mix? Quick story. I use 10% mix, and that's what I've always used. About 2 years ago, my delivery person, this will come to you every week fresh, not frozen. And he delivered, he said, we're out of 10%, I have 12%. So what do I know? I said, okay. And I made a batch of ice cream, And the next morning, I threw it out. I dumped out 8 gallons of that ice cream because to me, the 12% was gummy. It was too much. Just me. Now, understand something. All your businesses, whether it's a cart, a truck, a freestanding store, a franchise, whatever you have, will reflect what you think is the best ice cream. I think I make the best, well, I know I make the best ice cream in the world, but you have to think that way too. I like my ice cream a little sweeter, a little creamier, not fluffy, not airy, so I make it the way I like it. You can only be the judge of your ice cream. When you make it, it's got to reflect what you want. Now, certainly after a month and people are spitting it out, you realize, hey, I must be doing something wrong. I got to change this. But for the most part, how you like it will be different from everyone else in the world. You'll never make the same ice cream. You can use the same formulas, the same recipes, but you'll play with them a little. And you'll also play with the time it stays in the machine. You'll also play with how you store it, the size of the containers. All these things will make your product yours. So this is my product. Like it, not like it, it's okay. As I said, I sat there and I didn't like the product. No offense to Steve, he makes the best machine in the world. I didn't care for the product. I said, I can go home and make better ice cream, which is what I did. So let's start. I'm talking too much. We're going to start with 5 quarts. Now, this is 10 quarts. These bladders are 10 quarts. And tomorrow you'll see that I just dump a whole one in the machine. You will actually dump a whole one in the machine. But we'll take 5. And they're a little tricky to use till you get used to them. That's one of the great things about the class you'll go to tomorrow. You're actually going to do everything so that by the time, I don't want to really promote this, but by the time the class is over, you will be an expert on making ice cream and ices and cream ice because you'll have done it so many times yourself. You'll handle this, you'll do all that stuff. Okay, so we have 5. Okay, we have 5 quarts of mix. This is ricotta cheese, the key ingredient in cannoli cream. This is, they go by, they say they're net weight 24 ounces, 1 pound 8 ounces. But it's really, you go by weight in this recipe, and these are, I look at these as 2 pounds each. So believe it or not, we're going to use 5 of them. We're going to use 10 pounds of ricotta in this recipe. So we dump it in. I smell everything. And don't you know, once I smelled the mix and I didn't think it was fresh, so, you know, you have to stop. It's a lot of ricotta. Get it? This an oil painting or an audience here? What are we doing? Now, he did tell me that the brand ricotta is crucial to your cream. And I agree with him. But, you know, I don't live in Manhattan and I don't have access to that great Italian ricotta cheese. So I use this. And it seems to work okay. You notice it just comes right out. Pretty easy stuff to work with. So that's 4. And this will be 5. So that's how many pounds of ricotta? Very good. Who makes those white containers? All right, so we have 10 pounds of ricotta cheese, which is a lot. They're $4 a container. So, and in my recipe, I use twice that in a full thing. All right, this is one of those things. This is a paint stirrer from Home Depot. They're $3, and I cut it down a little bit. It really works good. I have KitchenAids in my store, and you could write your name in the dust from them because of this. This is, my friend Kevin told me to do this, and boy, is it great. So, in order to, and we normally wouldn't have to because ricotta cheese is so soft you could put it right in the machine, but as you can see, it comes out in a big thing. Slap yourselves, do something. Wake up. So,
Ice cream and power tools, how good?
ice cream and power tools, that's it. Thank you. So what we want to do is, there's only 4 ingredients in this, and it's the ricotta cheese, sugar, vanilla, and the mix. Now Steve doesn't have a big enough container to put all this in. But if you think about it, we don't have to. All we're going to do is put a little of this in there because we want to get it mixed. And then we're going to do the sugar. Well, first let's do the vanilla. This calls for a lot of vanilla. I usually use 1 ounce per quart. But because cannoli cream is so rich and good tasting, and ricotta doesn't have much taste to it, we're going to use an amazing 20 ounces of vanilla.
Is that extract or is that vanilla?
I beg your pardon. Tell me, what's the difference?
Well, pure is more powerful.
Pure is more powerful. Not necessarily. No. They can make extract so a drop will knock your socks off. This is pure vanilla, and I use pure vanilla. I actually cut the beans and make my own vanilla, which you'll be there tomorrow, right? You'll see that. We make our own vanilla, and it's great stuff. Anyway, 20 ounces of this. And now all we have to do is mix it up and add the sugar. So first let's mix this up a little bit with a very high-tech variable speed drill and a paint thinner. And of course, we'll taste it now to see if I put in too much sugar.
So what, you put 5 pounds in?
I put a little over 5 pounds. Actually, no, 5 pounds. I put 5 pounds of sugar in. The bags are now 4 pounds, believe it or not. Okay, let's see. We're just trying to get that sugar dissolved as much as we can. All right, so we'll use this machine here. And that's what it looks like.
Jeff, what size machine is that?
I'm busy here.
Oh, sorry.
This is I think this is a 12 quart. Steve? Well, whatever. I think it's a 12 quart.
It is a 12 quart.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have to add the rest of this, right? And I'll pour it in here just so we get all the other good stuff, the sugar and all that stuff. This flavor, not unlike vanilla, will expand a lot. So Somebody figure out how much we used in ingredients, how many quarts. Or don't. We used 5 quarts of mix, 20 ounces of vanilla, so almost 6 quarts, 10 pounds, which is probably another 4 quarts or so of ricotta, and then 5 pounds of sugar. So we got a lot of stuff going on here. Let's put it on. Okay, it's going at 234 revolutions per minute. You don't have to write that down. And we'll get it all in there. Now, we didn't turn on the refrigeration yet. It's a 2-step deal. You know, you turn on the speed of the machine, then you turn on the refrigeration. Okay? How exciting is this?
Speed of the revolution. Do you alter that?
Do I offer it? What?
Do you alter the speed of the revolution?
Do I alter it?
Right.
No. If you look on here, it says there are different categories, and the one I pressed said super premium ice cream. That's what we're making, super premium ice cream. Not a lot of air content, and it's really good. You'll love it. It's great. Okay, now we're ready to one more taste. Now that it's all shook up. The ricotta cheese I used isn't the best. Now, because I just picked it up this morning, it's not as smooth as what I like. So we'll see what happens. But mine is smoother, and yours will be smoother too. What brand was this? This is La Mangia. La Mangia. Okay, so here goes the refrigeration. Now, I don't use timers. We'll get into that later. So there you go. The reason I don't use timers, not that good, huh? No, just kidding. The reason I don't use timers is because you really, Steve uses a timer that goes down. In other words, he sets it at 10, 12, 15 minutes and it goes down. In my store, in my kitchen, I have a timer that starts at 0 and just records the time. The only reason I have it is so that when I glance over, I can know that I put the refrigeration on it, because that's when I start the timer. One hand here, you hit it and start it up. That way when you're busy doing stuff, because believe me, when you're making 5, 6, 7 flavors over 4 hours or whatever in a day, you'll forget things. And when you get to be as old as I am, you forget things. So it doesn't hurt to just be able to glance over and know that whatever time it says doesn't matter, but you've got it going. If I had a little light, that would be fine too, but it's okay.
So how long do you let you turn the speed on?
How long what?
How long before you turn the refrigerator
Oh,
on?
just sometimes you can turn it on right away. It depends what you're putting in there, how much you want it to mix.
Yeah, but right now, with what you're making.
Well, we mixed it beforehand, so you can put it right on.
So you took what, 3, 4 minutes?
Oh, no, you could just do it right away. Right away. If you're making something like cookies and cream, where you take the Oreos and you just throw them in there, then you might want to give it a minute for those blades to really crunch it up. And then sometimes, midway through, you want to add some things that you don't want so crunched up. When the ice cream gets a little thicker and you add things, it's not going to crunch up to powder as much as it would if you put it in the beginning. Pretty good answer, huh? Okay. Anything else?
So $40 to $60 per batch is an average for you?
Well,
How
yes.
big is that batch? Is that batch 3 gallons?
8 gallons, 7 to 8. Now, there's a question and answer period here, and certainly if you're watching at home, you can fast forward to that if we're boring you. But you'll see, I brought out this board here to show you not only what it costs to make a batch and what your profit's going to be, but the differences in using on the cheap ingredients and really prime ingredients or expensive stuff. The difference is ridiculous. So you might as well, you'll do what you want. You know, as I said, this will be your ice cream store. So it is what it is. Like if you're opening an Italian ice business, you can use all natural stuff. You can use fresh blueberries to make blueberry ices, or you can go to the shelf and get a jar of stuff and pour in blueberry ices. Or you can buy a gallon from most of the major makers of blueberry Italian ice stuff and pour that in. It'll all depend on what you want to do. You can enhance your experience using that by adding fresh blueberries, or you can not. It's all up to you. This is, there's two things working here. There's the science of this product and there's the art of the product. I wouldn't get into this if there was no art. If you just grabbed the recipe, put it in the machine, turned it on, turned it off, sold the ice cream, no fun for me. I offer 40 flavors in my store, and I make all 40 flavors, and I make them all the time. They're all fresh. That's the fun for me. If I didn't have to limit it to 40, I'd make 140, because that's the best part to me. Now,
you don't worry about overrun, you don't try to measure volume, ingredients coming out.
Well, you don't have to worry about overrun. It takes care of itself. When you're extracting it or extruding it, I never know what it is, you'll see whether sometimes I get 6 gallons, sometimes I get 9. And it depends on the humidity in the air, what your product is. A little later, we're going to make a Pinot Grigio ice cream. We won't get much out of that. We'll put in 4 gallons, we'll get out 5 gallons, say. Vanilla ice cream, you'll put in 4 gallons, you'll get out 8. So it depends.
Well, that's why we're trying to put volumes in and try to count the overrun coming out by volume, so I can give you measurements, and it's all over the board, like you just said.
Right. So don't worry about it.
But when I'm looking for volume for price, I'm trying to say, okay, if I put this much into the product.
Well, that's a good, the question was, he's trying to stabilize his price, and I'm pretty sure your profit also.
Right.
In my world, I don't do that, because I know that one ice cream costs me much more to make than another ice cream. Now, with 40 flavors, you're not going to offer 3 flavors. You're going to have at least 15 flavors. I have 40 flavors. So the ones that cost me $30 to make, which is the mix and the ingredients, let's say cookies and cream, pretty cheap product, that I'll make more money on that. And the overrun is high. But then you look at another one where you're doing $70 in stuff and the overrun isn't so high. So in my world, it all evens out. Now, we sometimes tell the girls who are scooping, because everybody says, what's the best? With 40 flavors, they look at our board, that, what's the best? So sometimes if I want to either move a product that has been sitting for a few days, or one that is less expensive for me to make, then that's what they'll recommend. Because in truth, they're all good. All 40 flavors are really good. They're not only good, they're unbelievable, because I love ice cream. And you'll see, but as far as the profit, experience will tell you, I tell everybody to use these cards with your formulas on it, your recipes on it, and then keep them in a card file. And if you're so concerned or so inclined, then what you can do is on the back, put down the date you made it and how much the yield was. So whether you got 6 out of it, 8 out of it, 9 out of it, 5 out of it, and then you'll see. What size machine are you using?
Well, we had a little 3-quart machine, now we're into a 20-quart machine.
Okay.
3-quart to 20-quart in 8 months.
Okay, well then you'll be able to track it if you want, and that way it'll go directly to your profit. If you're getting 8 gallons out of it, then you know you're going to make more money on that than a product that only yields you 5.
Last year we talked about that. I'm trying to figure well, we tried making ice cream, like you were saying last year, you see nothing but the best. And I went to a flavor company up in Michigan, spent $400 on flavors, we tried using that. People don't want it. They bitch. When you have cheap ice cream, they don't like it, they'll let you know.
We gave most of that away.
Yeah, we gave it away.
Oh, that's why my philosophy is probably different than everybody in the industry. I think that what we grew up with, you all grew up eating Oreos, didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, we love Oreos. So why not make an ice cream that tastes just like that? And everything else we grew up with M&Ms. Now, you've all been to an ice cream store where you order M&M ice cream and it's basically vanilla ice cream with M&Ms in it. Well, that doesn't cut it. You're eating vanilla ice cream with M&Ms. My method, you're actually getting M&M ice cream, and that people know that taste, and that's why it's a real popular
We
flavor.
did what you said last year, and we just started selling quarts, we sold for $9 a quart, and we can't make it fast.
It is funny.
We're just selling it at work.
Did I hear something in the back? I didn't hear what that was. What she asked?
No, she didn't. Remember, the audience, the camera can't hear what they're
Right.
saying, so you have to repeat
Right.
it.
Okay, so what was the question?
No, I just said that we just started selling quarts, we did what you said like last year, and people stand in line, we can't sell it fast enough.
And what are you using for ingredients?
We have what you said, the freshest stuff we can get our hands on.
There you go. That's why I don't make too many fruit flavors with real fruit, because what you buy today in the store won't be what you buy tomorrow in the store. And the customer who has your great creamsicle ice cream, which we sell, which is orange and vanilla combined, what they get today won't be the same as next week because the oranges are in season now, and next week they may not be, and they're a little more tart. And then you have to start playing with sugar and everything. So I don't do many fruit flavors. I do food flavors.
What we were told by somebody is that a lot of fruits lose their flavor when they're frozen, like pineapple, like in peach, you know, 'cause I made an almond and pineapple with pineapple biscuits, and it just tastes like frozen chunk. So not
Well,
frozen,
I guess I have to disagree there.
It doesn't really taste like pineapple.
Well, I have to disagree there. I use expensive, high-quality frozen fruits when I make those fruits. I shop at Restaurant Depot a lot, and they have, for instance, I just bought the other day a bag of cherries, black cherries, and the bag was $25. It's not a big bag, but that's what it is.
Should we put them in frozen then, or should we thaw them first?
No, I thaw them out. But you can just throw them in the sink, run some water on them.
I use canned.
Well,
Canned?
canned is never going to be good.
No.
Canned is the lowest
Canned is a
level of
chemical
fruit.
taste.
Canned is the lowest level of fruit you can buy. The reason I use, they were talking, for those of you who couldn't hear, about fresh fruit. You'll see me make next strawberry Italian ice. And I use fresh frozen strawberries. Because if you're in a climate where you can sell ice year round, you have to have strawberry all year. You can't say, I'm only having it in season. That doesn't make sense. Down here in Florida, the growing season for oranges is November to end of March. In November, they're bitter, they're horrible, they're just, you wouldn't eat them. In March, they're like eating candy. So when you get a company like Tropicana or the orange juice I use today, a local one, they buy the oranges and juice them from November, December, January, February, March. And then they freeze it into a concentrate or they pasteurize it and put it up in jars. So whether you buy it in July or December, it's the same great quality. The old method of making strawberry ice or strawberry ice cream was to open up a number 10 tin. I took the label off one so I don't insult anyone. This is a number 10 tin. That's an industry standard name. And that is 3 quarts of strawberries in a heavy, gloppy, sugary syrup with red dye number 40. And that was great when Jeff and I were growing up. This is the standard of industry, and we all loved it. Nowadays, the audience, the customers are more savvy. They walk into Baskin Robbins, which I call the wonderful world of color, and they see a bright red strawberry. They see a deep, deep green mint chip ice cream. They see a yellow product, pineapple, and they know it's dyes. It's nothing more than dyes.
Why can't
You
I
getting
look
weak?
at this?
It's humidity. Yank it. Oh my gosh. He's gotten weak. There you go. Sometimes it's a metal-to-metal contact, so sometimes ice will build up there if you're not paying attention. So I use fresh frozen fruit all the time. It's picked at the height of the season. It's as good as new, but when you mention you're using canned, that's right out the window. Canned is what you use when
right
the
out the
power.
window.
Canned is what you use when the power goes out for 7 days and you've eaten all the dog's food and there's nothing left to humanly possibly eat. You open up a can of canned fruit. So we get away from this stuff and we use fresh fruit. I use it all the time. I'll use it today. And it's fantastic. It's a wonderful way to have consistency throughout the year. Now, there's exceptions. Peach ice cream, when we were up in New York for 100 years, Jersey peaches were in season in late August. Nothing better than to put out a sign, fresh peach ice cream today. And then you sell it for the 2 weeks peaches are in season and take it off the menu. Someone comes by and says, hey, where's the peach ice cream? Well, the peaches are out of season. We can't possibly have it for you. Come back next August. They'll be lined up next August to buy your peach ice cream. But strawberry, no, you got to have it year round.
Question, Steve.
Yes.
I was under the assumption, we're new to the business, we've only been in not even a year yet, but the higher the water fat in there, it makes it creamier the ice cream is that true?
The question is, the higher the butter fat, what does that do to the ice cream? It makes it a higher butter fat. That's the primary thing that it does. It also does make it a bit creamier because, of course, you're a higher fat content. But you have to look at your market. Higher butterfat ice cream is going to cost more than a lower fat ice cream. That's one consideration. So if you're in downtown Detroit and you're selling Haagen-Dazs, you're probably not going to do too well because the market can't afford that type of product. So you build the product that matches the market. I had a guy in Greenwich Village years ago. He made, without question, the best, freshest lemon ice that I've ever tried in my life. It cost him $60 a tub. So he had the world's best product, but when everybody else was making it for $5, he couldn't afford to sell it anywhere. Nobody could afford that product. So first off, you make it for what you can sell, and then, surprisingly, you make it to the climate. Up in New York, if Jeff is running 14% butterfat ice cream, I'm going to run 16. Why? So I can say I'm the richest ice cream in New York City. I'm richer than him. That's the only reason I can see for doing it. Down here in Florida, we come down with our New York attitudes, 14%, 15%, and I'm wondering why people are dying in the parking lot, just keeling over. It's bad for business, I'm telling you. And the reason is a high-fat product will make you sweat. It'll make you hot. It'll give you a stomach ache. If people eat an ice cream that gives them a stomach ache, they don't say, oh, that butterfat content was too much, or I ate too much ice cream. They say, oh, his ice cream made me feel bad. Ergo, I'm not going back to his place. So down here in Florida, we run, big word, put in your dictionary. So here in Florida, we actually run, this is a 10% mix. This is the federal minimum to still call it ice cream. Anything below this, and we'd have to call it gelato or frozen yogurt or any of the other made-up names for ice milk, which is the legal term for it. And we do that because it's just so darn hot outside, we don't want a lot of high fat. So we compensate for the low fat with a lot of flavor, which people should do anyway. If I hand you a pale pink ice cream today and you say, oh, that's delicious, what is it? And you can't tell that it's red raspberry instead of strawberry, I've failed as an ice cream maker. There's butterfat, there's air content, which we call overrun, and there's flavor. I like to say, nobody ever walked out of an ice cream parlor and said, man, that's the best damn overrun I ever ate. People don't eat air. And they don't say, honey, didn't you just love that butterfat content? No. They say, man, that mint chip was pure, it didn't taste chalky, it was spectacular. People eat flavor. Now, what are you doing here?
I forgot to add the chocolate chip to the ice cream.
Remember I told you at the beginning to remind me because I leave things out? It's actually for his benefit. We all do it. Which proves the point. You can't be talking to an audience. You can't be talking on the phone. You can't be serving a customer when you're making ice cream because you're going to forget the chocolate chips.
Forgot the chocolate chips.
That's okay. We'll forgive you.
Yes, sir.
You talked about the butterfat. We were at a gelato shop in St. Pete yesterday, and they say their butterfat is 3% or 3.5%. And it hasn't been some of the best, thickest, densest product I've ever had.
Sure, because it's more like an ice milk. The question was, he went to a gelateria and they said the butterfat content was 3%. We can make a gelato at 3% too, but that you have to freeze something in the machine. You either freeze fat or you freeze sugar. If you leave one or both out, you don't have anything to freeze. The machine will not work. Even that little hand crank machine will not work without something to freeze. So when they take down the butterfat to 3%, they're upping the sugars. That product you ate was just loaded with corn sugar. Corn sugar makes anything dead smooth. And smooth is not a taste. Smooth is a texture. When we say, oh, we love those Fritos, they're really crunchy. There is no such thing as crunch as a taste. The Frito is the taste. So it tasted cold, but did you really want to eat something that was so high in sugar you might as well have just taken a sweet tea and added 6 more teaspoons of sugar to it? Because that's basically what you were eating was sugar. And it was a cheap sugar, it was fructose. The Italians are famous for that. They do everything with powder. We do everything fresh. You've seen Jeff pour from a bag milk, cream, skim milk that came from the cow yesterday. The Italians use these powders that the cow was milked on the Pampas in Argentina. They spray dried it in an American machine made by Henningsen Foods, family friends of mine, and then they ship the powder in a big, huge tank over to Italy, where they put it in these pretty bags. They ship it to the Port of Elizabeth, where the mob adds on a little extra cost and then ships it to you. You then take this powder and you reconstitute it with water, and then you call that gelato. Now, how is that better than coming out of the cow yesterday? It isn't. That's why we make better gelato here in America than they do in Italy. Now, you say, oh, but I went to Italy, it was so great. Let me ask you a question. Where does a Heineken beer taste better? Underneath the number 4 subway at 170th Street in Jerome, where my factory was, you know, the mugger mover up above and Murder a Week neighborhood, drinking a Heineken beer, or a Heineken beer on a Caribbean island, and you've got 2 weeks to sit on the beach. You know that beer tastes better on the Caribbean island. Same Heineken, but location. When you're in Italy, you're on vacation, everything tastes better.
Steve, I got a question. We were just talking about the overrun. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. We aren't really real close. But if I have a lower butterfat mix, am I expecting to see a higher overrun, or do I expect to see a less overrun?
Overrun and butterfat have nothing to do with each other as far as how the product is made. The overrun is controlled by the infinite overrun control, and we're the only machine that has it, where we can pick the air content that we want. The butterfat is what you buy, is butterfat.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we had a higher butterfat, it was harder to get overrun in it, because it was a thicker product more.
Okay, the question is it harder to get overrun into a higher butterfat? No, it's easier, because fat is what expands. When you have Italian ice, come on up and try this. Italian ice has no fat cells. Dairy product has fat cells. All right, I'm going to try this. Don't give them too much, because Connie's going to pack it up for me to take to various doctors. Okay, you're on microphone.
If I want this a little more green,
Add less sugar.
Oh, I'm envious. This is the flavor I want
Yeah,
to create.
a granita
Well,
is
I didn't make it for 4
less
years
sugar,
or
and it's
whatever.
very
I
grainy.
just made it last
Philadelphia
week.
Italian ice is even smoother. It's more sugar. The sugar controls the grain. Boy, that's good. What is it?
The ice cream, when you were dumping it, when you were spinning it, why didn't you throw it down the throat?
It was already too done.
Oh, it's too
I just
late.
want a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit.
I'm getting a little tired of that, you know. That's
Yeah.
wearing real thin here.
Oh, that's way too much. Oh my goodness. I guess I don't get to choose, do I?
You gonna need this?
So how long do
probably
you
not.
freeze that for before you serve it?
12 hours.
I see Ken's coming in for some, so I better leave this container behind.
With fish and chips.
Everybody, this is Ken Putt. He runs our computers. He runs our IT system. The website is all
And boy,
his
he knows
fault.
it. If you don't know
Everything.
it, he knows it.
That's
Can
right.
this be made into ice? Italian ice?
What?
Can this be made Italian ice?
Can I what?
Can this be made into Italian
What's
ice?
that?
You can make anything you want.
Not this flavor.
So I could make this?
You
Italian
can make
ice one?
anything you want. Any flavor you can think of, you can make in
What
Italian
flavor?
I
ice.
already got one. I was just
Is this a cannoli?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, no, no.
I'll be right
what
back.
ice cream looks like when it gets extracted, but that consistency is usually
Yeah.
a little thicker.
I pull
Really?
it. I pull it out thin.
Okay, that's what I'm doing wrong.
I
So then
pull it
could
out.
make this
Connie?
into ice.
You can make anything. Yes, you can make
Cannoli.
that into Italian ices.
And it freezes nice and it's nice and scoopable afterwards.
Oh yeah.
See, I pull it out way too thick and then I get like.
Oh yeah.
dash, you know
No,
what
that's
I mean?
everybody makes that mistake.
We make cannoli too, but what we do, we make our fresh waffle cones and we dip them in ganache when they're flat still, when they're frozen. And then we put them in the freezer and I'll break them up and put them at the very end in there for the cannoli shell. And people really dig it. But yeah, it's just hard for us, you know, because I freeze it until it's like firm enough, almost a scoop. And then
We're going to take
Pull it
a
out
break in a
sooner.
minute, but I want
Pull
to
it
bring
out
up.
sooner.
I want to bring up something that just happened because it's very interesting. A lady came up in line here to try this delicious cannoli ice cream and said, "Oh, just give me a little taste. You know, I only want a little taste." This is really very interesting because ice cream parlors run into this. When I used to do trade shows all the time before we started doing videos like this, I would be giving away free ice cream. I'm 25 years old. The faster I give it away, the faster I can sit down. That's all I cared about. So I'm giving big portions. Here, take that, take that, take that. You're giving it out for free. It's a trade show in Chicago. People will take free product. People getting up around, you know, the Jeff's age, they come up and they say, "Oh no, that's too much. I don't want that much. Give me less." Lady, I'm giving it out for free. You're holding up the line. Take it. If you don't like it, throw it out. No, I couldn't possibly take that. There's really something important psychologically here. Older people do not want a really large portion sometimes. So the fight becomes, now this is, you're laughing, but there's a point to this. The big argument in ice cream parlors is, do we sell a child's portion? And you should hear the people moan and complain to ice cream parlors. No, I don't want to give a child's portion because the seniors come in and they want the child's portion. Lady, it's for the children. But I only want that small amount. And they're totally missing the boat when they don't offer a child's portion. I call it a child's portion for children of all ages. You know, if ever you watch Claude Kirshner on TV growing up, welcome children of all ages. The point is, if someone just wants a smaller portion, and let's say your regular portion is $3, and your small portion is $1.95 or $2. I don't care what age you are when you give out a small portion. It's still $2 in your cash register that you didn't have a minute ago. So instead of fighting with the customer, which I love to do, and say, "No, you got to have a regular sized portion," and they're 90 years old, you give them the child's portion and say, "Enjoy it," because you know what? Not only are you making them happy, not only are you making $2. Guess who brings in the grandchildren? Not the parents. They're too busy. The grandparents bring in the children, and so now everybody gets a child's portion. And again, it's a sale you didn't have before. Don't let it go by the wayside. Offer a child's portion, children of all ages.
No.
Hold on. He's only open from 6 at night till 10 at night. He's got 100,000 elderly people right around his corner. Everything that applies to the ice cream business doesn't apply to him.
That's
so
not
tell him
true.
why it's one size fits all.
That's not true.
One size fits all.
That's not
crazy.
true. When I opened my store, I had 3 sizes: $2, $3, and $5. What did they all buy?
$3.
$2. They all bought $2. Not a week later, I cut the $2. Now I have 2 sizes, $3 and $5. What do they all order? $3. So I don't want that. I don't want to bust my chops all day making ice cream, paying the rent, paying employees, paying insurance, all these expenses to sell somebody a $2 ice cream. I don't want it. I sell one price ice cream. My ice cream is $6. That's it. $6. If they want to pack it up, I'll pack it. The girls will pack it up for them to take home. Everybody, without exception, when we serve it up, we serve a large portion. Oh no, I could never eat that. And the next thing we're doing, throwing an empty bowl in the trash. It really, if you educate your customers to your prices and your quality is top notch, you'll do fine. Kids, well, we'll
My
get into
turn.
it.
Almost everything says that Jeff says is wrong because he's leaving out, he's not wrong, he's just not right. He's leaving out a key factor. His demographics being on the border of the largest retirement community in the United
Now,
States
you,
of America.
you keep saying that. You've never even been there.
His demographics
You've
are
never
his
even
average.
been there.
Hold on. His average age person is probably 68 and above.
85, 90.
Okay, so he doesn't have families coming in. He doesn't have
Oh,
children
that-
coming in. So do you know what happens when you get to be that age? You're on a fixed income. I don't care if you've got $10 million in the bank. You're still a fixed income. You say, honey, that's got to last until
The
we're
bottom
99.
line is, do you want to sell ice cream for $3 or do you want to sell ice cream for $6?
Try his
The
way.
cheapest product that you have in your store is your product. Give it away if you have to. Don't undersell yourself. Don't sell yourself short. You'll find that they're all going to get a smaller size. No offense to anybody, but especially women. They're not going to order a big portion of ice cream. If you have one size, that's the size they have.
I got a
they
question.
can share.
Why does Morton's Steakhouse or any other one that's selling $35 steaks, why do they have chicken on the market, on the menu? It's not because people want chicken. It's because they're too embarrassed to say, I can't afford a $35 steak. I'll take the $17
If
chicken.
that same Morton's opened up at 6 o'clock and from 6 to 11 they sold only chicken, they'd be out of business in a week.
Well, you try it. If you want to have just one price to fit all, that's fine. But I don't think you would go into any store that was just
Don't
one
make
price.
kid sizes.
Can I ask you a question?
He doesn't have kids in the store.
How often do these people come per week for their $1 $6 ice cream?
Once a week. I like people once a week.
And no children. No children
No,
allowed.
that's not true. He's never been to the store. He's never been to the community I live in or where my store is. We have plenty of kids.
Ken, what do his tapes say? Do they say that he doesn't have children? Ken, he's keeping it quiet.
Careful,
All right.
Ken.
All right, so anyway, while we duke this out, we're going to take
Here,
a
what do you
coffee
wanna do with
break.
this? Oh, coffee break?
Yeah.
Okay, here you can have that.
So you can all get up, you can walk around, use the bathrooms.
What would you do with that ice cream? Will that go right into the freezer or hard? What would you do with it?
It's
What you
going.
do to it?
What I do with this is I package this up and I go to an eye specialist. I only have one working eye, and I walk in and I say, "Please tell Dr. Jones that I'm here." Well, what's your name? Oh, you don't need my name. I've got the ice cream. And Dr. Jones has 15 people, all 3 o'clock in the afternoon appointments. They tell you, bring War and Peace, you're going to be here a long time. I walk in with ice cream, cups, and spoons, and I get in to see the doctor first. And here's the other trick I learned. You hold on to it. Don't give that ice cream to the receptionist, because guess what? It's melting. And you don't want them to take it off and start eating it. If you hold on to it, you're going to get to see that doctor right away. I use it for bribes. I use it for banks. Donald Trump says be nice to your bankers because nobody else is. And you be nice to your bankers. You give them ice cream when you can, and you'll be surprised how good life can be. So what you're looking at, yes, we're going to put it in the freezer is the real answer. But there you're looking at about 15 or 20 different bribes right there. It's perfect. We're going to take a break. Come on up and relax. Okay, we're going to continue making the rainbow Italian ice. We're going to make strawberry. Before I forget, though, I just got to clear something up. I told Jeff I'd pay him $45 if he wouldn't discuss what happened in Vienna last month. No, actually, I'm buying his book. He makes a lot of ice creams a whole lot better than I do. So there's the money for the book. It's official. Thank you very much. I'm going to really enjoy that, and I'm going to take credit for all these recipes.
Oh, that's more than $45.
Let's make some strawberry Italian ice.
What is all this?
That's what I'm going to pass out to people.
Oh, okay. You're going to pass out?
If I could trouble you for 3 quarts of water and 2 pounds of sugar.
3 quarts of water.
Here's the formula.
2 pounds of sugar.
I'm going to go over here and just see how we're doing.
3 quarts of water.
In case you forgot, there's our lemon ice in there, and we're going to fill the next size with the strawberry. My freezer's colder than that right now, but I would like to have 16 degrees in there. That would be my serving temperature. Oftentimes, if you buy a dipping cabinet for ices, you have to put a different thermostat in it. So when you order a new one, have them put a Italian ice thermostat in. They'll go, what's that? Just say, I want a range where I can hit 13 to 17 degrees in there, and they'll the manufacturer, before they ship it to you, will put in a special thermostat. Otherwise, it's set for ice cream. So we're going to use the quick frozen strawberries that I talked about. These are just the store brand. I didn't even buy Dole. Dole is very nice, but you're paying for the name. This is our supermarket down here in Florida is Publix, and these are very good.
2 pounds of sugar?
2 pounds of sugar. So I'm going to make that make it 1.5 pounds for the moment. So I'm going to add that, and I can't find my strawberry extract, so it might be a little weak. But the main thing I'm trying to show you today is the technique of how to make this product. So into the batch, we're going to put strawberries, water, sugar. If I had it, the natural strawberry flavor. There's a very good company that makes natural flavors, Green Mountain flavors. They're all natural, which is quite unique, and I like using these. They're not in Vermont though. Green Mountain is in Oswego, Illinois. So that's something to keep in mind. And just measuring out the sugar and the water. I'll open these up.
In here?
Please. So pretty simple. I tried making, I'll pass this out to you. This is a cherry Italian ice in which I bought cherries. I'll pass that out to you in a little bit. I bought black cherries. I was expecting red cherries. They were black cherries. And so the product came out dark gray. It was really disgusting looking, but it tasted great. But you have to have good looking product as well as good flavor. So I skipped that. I want my red, white, and blue ice. So that's why I'm making the strawberry. So this is just the sugar and water.
You don't need this anymore, do you?
I don't need that anymore. And I'm just going to taste this mixture to see. Yep, that's good. Just sugar and water. And I'm going to pour that in the machine. Make sure the gate's closed. Ken, we need a sound effect one of these days, a glug, glug, glug sound effect. All right, thanks. Okay. I'm going to turn it on and let it start freezing. We'll get going right away here. I did rinse the machine out because I had a little bit of lemon residue in there. I just threw in a couple of quarts, ran it for 15 seconds, and drained it out. So it didn't take any time at all. Hit Italian ice on the infinite overrun, hit start, and there she goes. Let's get that freezing. Set a timer. Take my strawberries. I realized I had arrived in the world of videos when a gentleman called up. I just thought this was so great. Me and my generation raised our kids watching Sesame Street. In other words, we plunked them down in front of the TV and said, here, go watch that for 10 hours. And that's how we raised our kids, watching Sesame Street. So I was talking to a gentleman, and he said his wife was ill that weekend, and so he was playing Mr. Mom, and he was taking care of the kids. He took my videos, which if you contact us at emerythompson.com, we'll send you a series of free videos of everything that goes on here. He put those videos in for his kids to watch, and he goes by the room, and the 5-year-old is saying to the 3-year-old, now don't try that with a Taylor batch freezer. I've made it. So let me repeat that. Don't try this with anyone else's batch freezer because they won't go into the machine. Just give them a little assist. Nothing could be fresher. There's no extra sugar in here. There's no dyes. It's just strawberries. And you can't even get them into another machine, so it's not a choice. So they have to use just a cheap extract. And since these are soft, they'll get ground up like a Cuisinart and dispersed throughout the whole batch. Now, I get a kick out of some people are still trying, like Stolting is still selling vertical batch freezers. That's a vertical batch freezer. They have a modern day version of it from Italy. And you know what's wrong with this? It's called Newton's Law. Everything that goes up must come down. So if you put those strawberries into here, which you cannot, they're going to fall to the bottom of the can. I don't care what anybody says about mixing. Gravity says they're going to fall to the bottom of the can. So your concentration of strawberries will be heavier down here than up here. And that's not what I want. So we first started out with this. This was my grandfather's invention, a modern version of that. And in 1919, you know how long ago 1919 was? The First World War was just beginning. We turned the barrel sideways in 1919 so that everything that goes in gets evenly dispersed throughout the batch. I mean, it's just simple physics. And how you can, well, people do it all the time. They try to take their worst negative and turn it into a positive. I'll get to that. That's my next thing. So with a horizontal batch freezer, everything goes in, everything gets dispersed nicely, but we're the only machine on the market that you can do this. You couldn't get strawberries into any other machine. Now, it grinds them up like a Cuisinart because they're soft. And for my Italian ice, that's fine. If I was making strawberry ice cream, I would have put half the strawberries in there, and the other half I would have cut the strawberries into halves, and as it's coming out, I would have shaken them in. So I would have my strawberry color, my strawberry flavor. You're blindfolded, you taste it, you say, yeah, that's strawberry ice cream, but you don't have the identity. What is it? Well, I don't see anything. Well, I could add chunks of strawberries as it's coming out. So I've got the flavor in the machine, the identity as it's coming out. There was a lot of confusion, I think, this morning about storing ice and how long you can store it for. This product is 1 month old. This is strawberry Italian ice we made at the last class. And I usually don't repeat myself, but I want it for the color. But look at that. That's strawberry Italian ice. This is at 5 below zero. You couldn't scoop that with a hammer and chisel. But all the flavor, I'm going to pass it around, the flavor is all even throughout. There's no settling, nothing is going on with this. That's as fresh as the day I made it. And so if I temper that up in my refrigerator if I need it this afternoon, or my 16-degree freezer overnight, it won't melt around the outside because it all warms up together. I'm giving away a man's favorite secret. Why do men like to serve dessert after a dinner party? Because we know all the Haagen-Dazs is melted around the outside, and we're eating it all before we serve it to the guests. So there's a cone of hard ice cream that we serve to the guests, but we've already had about 15 ounces of it. But we men won't tell you that. We keep that secret. So I'll pass that around. That's perfectly frozen. It's perfectly even throughout, and that's a month old. So this is cranking away. Any questions? Yes. Yeah. Say it again. The question is, can you use simple syrup instead of sugar? As far as I understand, simple syrup is sugar melted in water. So why would you want to pay someone tons and tons of money to ship you gallon jugs of simple syrup across the country? Well, it's going to, if you make your own, it's all going to depend on the sugar content. I think most of my formulas are 2 to 1. 2 pounds of sugar to a gallon of water. If your simple syrup is that recipe and you like that, that's fine. If your recipe is 1 to 1, then you're going to be off. Interesting, though, he brings up a good point, though. Sugar controls 2 things, several things. It not only controls the sweetness, but it also controls the strength. If I try your lemon ice and it's a little bland, I may not put more lemon juice in. I may put a little more sugar in because the sugar will bring out the flavor. In New York, on the bigger machine, if my recipe was 7 pounds of sugar, and 14 quarts of water. That's a Manhattan, New York Italian ice. If I go to Philadelphia, just down the Jersey Turnpike, they don't even call it Italian ice. They call it Italian water ice. They got it all screwed up. And they like their product dead smooth. You want a dead smooth Italian ice, increase my 7 pounds up to 8, and it won't necessarily make it sweeter, but it'll make it a whole lot smoother because of the sugar. You want it even smoother than that? Add corn syrup instead of cane sugar, and it'll be smoother. You get into a real Italian neighborhood where everybody speaks Italian. You go to Bay 8th Street in Brooklyn, and they sell not Italian ice, but granita or granite. Granita is Italian ice, but instead of 7 pounds of sugar, they drop it to 6, and the product is very coarse and icy. And that's what that neighborhood likes. So I have trouble with people who say, I'm going to open up a granita shop in Greenwich, Connecticut. Well, there aren't a whole lot of Italians from Italy in Greenwich, Connecticut. Is that really the right product to sell? Wouldn't you be better off change the name from Italian ice and call it sorbet? Another thing, I forgot this morning. That is a squeeze cup. If you ask your paper supplier, the way we do is we put the Italian ice in here, we squeeze it up, and we eat it, and then we throw it in the trash. If you ask your paper supplier, and they come in different sizes, if you ask your paper supplier for a squeeze cup, they're going to look at you like a deer in the headlights. That is known as a pleated water cup. Pleated like a lady's dress, a water cup. You go over to the water, like we have the water fountain there. You pull it down, you get a drink of water, you squeeze it, and you throw it away. This is the way we sell Italian ice in the Northeast. $1.50, strawberry Italian ice. I go into one of my favorite restaurants, River Cafe in Brooklyn. They have my machinery for 20, 30 years. They're going to put it in this. Same product. They're going to call it strawberry sorbet, except they're going to get $5.75 for this portion that I sold for $1.50. The only difference between strawberry Italian ice and strawberry sorbet or strawberry sorbetto is the price. That's all it is. That's the only difference. You can have Italians tell you all day long, oh, well, it's different. Oh, yeah, tell me what the difference is. Ah, well, yeah, they are sugar, water, and flavor. Yes? Okay, the question is, what's the difference between this and Italian shave ice? In the Bronx, we had a guy who employed about 300 people, and they had a little wood cart on wheels and a block of ice and a shaver, and all day long they would go like this. They would shave off the ice, they would put it into a cup, and then they would put a very cheap, artificial, brightly colored chemical on top of it, and that is shaved ice. It actually costs a little more than the Italian ice, because even with the sugar, the shaved ice people, it's caught on in places like Hawaii, and they charge so much for the flavors, for the chemicals, that they can get it. They just cost more than this product. This is a really tasty product. The shaved ice is just ice with flavor on top. It does well in Hawaii, so you can't knock it. There's a lot of people making a lot of money with shaved ice. I've had a lot of people with shaved ice switch over to Italian ice, so in order to have a better product and a higher profit margin.
That's all right.
So that's the way we sell it. You could also sell it. I ran into a lady. I was doing a trade show, and I was single. Don't tell Paula. And I wanted to just talk to her. So I'm giving out free lemon ice, and I'm doing it in cups because it's Chicago. What do they know? And so I hand this lady, after talking to her for a while, I hand her this, and oh no, I'm sorry, I got the story a little wrong. I handed her the squeeze cup. She said she was from Laguna Beach, California. So I also went over and got her a spoon. And she said, what's the spoon for? I said, because you're from Laguna Beach, California. She says, oh no, I grew up in Brooklyn, and starts eating it like that. You know, New Yorkers know, but again, if you ask for a squeeze cup, you haven't got a chance. Uh-oh. I forgot. I'm making product. Let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, that's beautiful, isn't it? Look at that. Now you can pull any consistency that you want. Jeff pulls his product softer than I do. You know, that's what makes a ball game. Everybody does it differently. Let me get my rainbow ice out. And now we're going to fill the second compartment. Are you with me, camera guy? I've been wanting to say that all week. Okay. That looks nice, maybe a little more. And I'm just going to even that off. You know, if you did this 20 times a day, it would become second nature. Oh, really? Okay, let me tap it. There we go. Okay, now I got the lemon and I got the strawberry. We're 2/3 of the way there. How's that look? Isn't that nice? Did you see it? It looks pretty good. Now, we'll let that back into the freezer. And you know, we would be doing these one flavor after another. So let's take the rest out for you guys to try. See how fast that comes out? Now that's thick enough you could serve it right like that if you wanted to. Or you could put it in the freezer for a little while. So that's going to make a 6-liter batch, or 6 quarts, whichever way you want to do it. There's room enough to make 6. There's actually more room than that. But we sell it as a 6-quart/6-liter machine. That's it. Yes?
Do you have, if you were making like batch after batch in a machine, in one of your machines, do you have a problem with it freezing up like on the paddles or on the cylinders?
The question is, do you have a problem making batch after batch? 10 hours of ice, is it going to build up on the paddles? No, it's not. A small amount is going to build up on the internal parts, and then after that, nothing else will build up because the design of the dashers is it pushes everything out. Oh, yeah. That's not bad. These are, I don't know if I can lift this. I can't lift this. Ken, can you swing the camera around? Is that doable?
Yeah.
Okay. These are the dashers that go inside our machines. This little one is the CB200. That's 3 quarts. This is the one we're using, CB350. It's 6 quarts. Then we go to 12 quarts, 6 gallons, and 11 gallons. We do them all the same design. Other people have to replace their scraper blades or knives every 6 months. These go 5 years. And they'll work 5 years because, unlike anybody else, they're spring-loaded. So whether the machine is brand new today or 4 years old, those blades, those springs are still pushing the blades out against the wall, so they're going to work equally as efficient. So this is an incredibly inexpensive for the customer drive system. This is all stainless steel, very heavy, beautifully handmade here. Come on up and let's try the strawberry ice. Whose is that?
Yours.
Oh, thanks.
You just did that.
Right, so
It was
this
good.
has less sugar than
Excuse me?
the other one that you made, correct?
What?
This one has less sugar.
Less sugar because I'm getting more sugar from the strawberries. So overall, there's more sugar in here than lemon ice. Oh, that's good. Hey, she's important to the business.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
We bought an ice cream shop out that was going out of business, and they had an old electro-freezing machine that had the steel dashers. Mm-hmm. And this is an old clunker. I know it's not going to last real long, maybe a couple of years. That's why we come down here. But anyways, is there any advantage to those, or disadvantage to those old steel ones? It looks like you guys built it.
Your machine is illegal because it has lead and copper in
This
it.
guy said it was legal.
What color is the label? Is it black and silver?
What
It is.
it, Sue?
It says electro-freeze, it's illegal.
Yeah, because he came up from the shop, and he was approved by the health board up there.
Okay, it's illegal.
Oh, great.
This is what
I
this is.
question about it.
Well, if you ask,
He said he said he had a licensed shop.
Yeah. Did you ever see the Peter Sellers movie? Does your dog bite, Monsieur? No, my dog doesn't bite. Then he bites me. He says, "That's not my dog." Do you think someone selling a used piece of equipment is going to tell you the truth? No, I don't. Does anybody else want seconds before we get rid of that? Okay. We have some time before lunch. Jeff and I are going to sit down. Jeff's going to break out his whiteboard and draw pictures. Sure.
Oh, okay.
He's going to draw nice pictures of ice cream tubs and whatever else he wants to talk about. So let me grab this. So Jeff and I will continue the love fest.
Will this be on the test?
Excuse me?
Will this be on the test?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So take notes.
This is the test.
Jeff, if you wouldn't mind wiping off the board with something.
I got it.
Here are your pens, and I'll go get us some chairs.
Okay.
This looks a little shaky.
So no questions?
Well, I'll start by answering some questions.
Okay.
Who wants to know about overrun or butterfat? Freezing temperatures question, yes.
Overrun, I don't really understand.
Okay.
DE 200
Yeah.
doesn't have overrun.
Oh, it does.
Everything has overrun.
Overrun, every industry has their technical terms for simple things. Ken, our IT man, talks in bits and bytes and bauds and speed and stuff I don't understand. I just know my computer works thanks to him, and this is being recorded. We do the same thing in the dairy industry. We have different terms, and one of them is talking about the air content of ice cream. My father was called down back in the 1950s to a Senate subcommittee hearing. They didn't have anything to do back then either. And there was a Southern senator who was complaining that the dairies were cheating the public because they was pumping air into the product. And Dad had to go down and explain that, well, without air and ice cream, you'd have lard. That's all it would be. Air is a natural function of making ice cream, whether you're using a hand crank machine or one of our mechanized machines. Air is in the product, and that's part of what makes it ice cream. We call the amount of air overrun. To make it simple, drop the word overrun and put in the word proof. We all understand proof in alcohol. If you have 100 proof rum, it's 50% alcohol and 50% other inert ingredients. So 100 proof is 50% alcohol, 50% other stuff. We could call that rum 100% overrun. 100% overrun rum would be 50% alcohol and 50% other stuff. So when we get to ice cream, we say, okay, this ice cream has the federal maximum 100% overrun, or 100 proof, meaning it's 50% dairy and 50% air. But instead of calling it proof like in alcohol, we call it overrun. So that's what overrun means, and you need to have air in the product. Haagen-Dazs, a company that we put into business in the Bronx many years ago, they were just a mile and a half from my factory. Reuben Madison, his mother, were one of the first people to make a low air content ice cream, low overrun. And we have it set on our machines. We call it super premium. It does make the product heavier. It makes it more dense. It also means that you're not going to sit down, in most cases, there's always exceptions, in most cases you're not going to sit down and eat a pint of Haagen-Dazs without walking away feeling, like lead, because it's literally just like putting lead in your stomach. It's so heavy. I like, and Jeff does this too, we like the higher air content ice creams, so that when you have a 5 or 6 ounce portion of Jeff's ice cream and you finish it, you feel refreshed, you feel happy, you say, boy, I could go back and get another one. And then your wife kicks you and says, no, you don't. But it leaves you with a good feeling. Example, there are so many, well, there's no business like Jeff's, but there are so many homemade ice cream parlors and very few Haagen-Dazs stores. You don't see Haagen-Dazs stores everywhere. Again, there's always an exception, but they are not popular because a 5 ounce scoop of Jeff's ice cream is falling off the cone. It looks beautiful, it's large, he puts in a dish, I know, And a 5-ounce portion of Haagen-Dazs is about that big. It's very small because it's very condensed and very compact. And that 5 ounces of Haagen-Dazs is going to just feel so heavy in your stomach because it is so compact and so dense. It doesn't make it a bad ice cream. It just doesn't make it an ice cream that you would normally want to eat on a regular basis. It's great for restaurants. I mean, if you're doing a $100 a plate restaurant and you're selling Haagen-Dazs or you're making a low air content ice cream, wonderful. We tend towards something that's good eating, a good balance of flavor, air, and fat content. They're in balance. If you're baking a birthday cake and the recipe calls for a cup of flour and a cup of sugar, the cake won't be better if you put in 2 cups of flour. It'll just have more flour. It doesn't make it a better cake. It throws it out of balance. Now, gelato is a low air content product. Don't let anybody tell you it's dietetic, because when you take the fat out, you have to increase the sugar. Otherwise, these things don't work in the machine. When I see women, mostly, I'm sorry, but I guess I'm a sexist. When I see women saying, oh, but I only eat fat-free yogurt. Great. You have no idea how much sugar you ate today. There is no fat in your yogurt, but in order for it to freeze in either a hand crank machine or one of our machines or anybody else's, it's got to have a ton of sugar in it. You're not kidding yourself or doing yourself any favor eating fat-free. So again, we try. Gelato. Gelato is a low-fat product. It's higher in sugar, and it's Italian flavorings. I love gelato. My machines make better gelato than anybody else. Would I open up a gelateria? No. Would I have gelateria in my business as one of my repertoire? Probably yes, if it matched the neighborhood. If I was from Greenwich, Connecticut, I would definitely have gelato because it's trendy. But the truth is, no 6-year-old ever walked into an ice cream parlor and pulled on his mother's dress and said, Mommy, can I please have a tiramisu gelato? It doesn't happen. So you're telling that child, go away. I walk in, I want a rainbow Italian ice. You want a what? This is a gelato business. We're highbrow. Go away. You keep telling all these people to go away because you don't serve the product. I'd rather, if it met my business profile, have Italian ices, gelato, and ice cream. Or you can do any combination of that or just one product, ice cream like Jeff. Again, depending on the market, depending on what the people ask for. I don't do soft ice cream machines. If I had an ice cream parlor right here in Brooksville, and if every third person walking in and said, do you have frozen yogurt, soft frozen yogurt? And I said no, and they walked out, every third person's walking out because I don't have what they want. You can be darn sure I'm going to go out and buy a Stolting soft serve machine real quick and put it in because I'm losing 33% of the business. Oh, your turn. I'm talked out.
Okay, getting back to the proof, a real easy way to think about it is when you make whipped cream at home. You pour the cream into a bowl, and let's say it goes to that high. The more you whip it, the higher it gets. And that's all it is. All we're doing is putting essentially cream in these machines and beating it till it expands. That's all it is. It's not something you have to worry about. It's not something you even have to think about, because when you make your product, whether it's cream ice or super premium ice cream, it'll take care of itself. Somebody asked before how they can track their profits on it. Well, when you have your recipe on a card, just look at what you extracted from the machine, whether it was 5 gallons, 6 gallons, 7 gallons, 8 gallons, 9 gallons, and then you'll know. But it'll just take care of itself. What you really got to concentrate, and one thing Steve said, which I sort of take exception to, you're not really geared. Ice cream is not a kid's dessert. Ice cream is an adult dessert. Kids don't come to the store without the adults. And kids, frankly, they don't care what you serve them. If it's good ice cream or bad ice cream, I don't think it really matters to them. It's ice cream. Who it matters to are the adults. They're going to come back to your store because of the quality of your product and your price and how you treat them. That's really all it boils down to. So forget this thing about pleasing the kids. You have to please the adults, and the adults are pretty sophisticated. They're going to know the difference between a good product and a bad product. And they may not go to the Haagen-Dazs store because to go there with the 2 kids and a husband is going to cost them $30, where in your store it'll cost them $15. So That's why they'll come to your store. Not that Haagen-Dazs is a bad product. It's an excellent product. One that I strive to copy in my ice creams, because their ice cream is really good. I grew up on Haagen-Dazs. But be that as it may, don't think of your business as pleasing kids, because that's not who your market is, no matter where you are. Even if you're on the side of the road in a busy traffic area, it's the adults who you have to please.
Fine.
Okay.
You're not wrong, because the child's not carrying the MasterCard.
Of course. One thing you should be aware of is how much money you're making, which your accountant or bookkeeper will tell you. But here's a simple way to do this, and this will point out why the cost of your ingredients really doesn't matter. I know that goes against everything everybody says, but you'll see it's such an insignificant thing that it pays to just go for the better ice cream. See if I can do this so everyone can see. Those bladders that we use, they come 2 to a box. You get a box delivered, and there's 2 bladders in it every week, or however many times you get them delivered. The general price on those is $37 a box, and you get 2 bladders. So you're really paying about, let's go crazy and call it $20 a bladder. Just if you spill any, if you waste any, whatever. So you're going to spend $20 on each bladder. Each bladder is 10 quarts. So how much you spending? $2 a quart? Is that right? Help me out here. I'm no good at this stuff. So you got $2 a quart that you must use if you're making ice cream. If you're making Italian ices, that goes way down. If you're making sherbet or cream ice, it goes way down. We'll get into that another time. So you have your base price. It's got to cost you $2 a quart, which is $8 a gallon, right?
Yes.
Thank you. So it's $8 a gallon if you want to make blank ice cream. And certainly the mix is, some people tried just the mix. It's delicious. You could just throw it in the machine, freeze it up, and you got basic vanilla ice cream. And it's pretty good, too. What you have to use is vanilla. If you use pretty good vanilla, it's going to cost you about, let me see, $6. I buy it in bulk. I don't actually buy it anymore. I make my own vanilla. But you got to figure it's going to cost you $6 a liter for good quality vanilla. You can buy vanilla for $300 a quart also, but you're wasting your money. I'm sorry, whoever's listening to this thing. Okay, so if you have, I generally use 1 ounce per quart. That's my formula. And if you see it in the book, you'll see it's always, if there's 10 quarts, which is what my machine makes, then I'm using 10 ounces. So let's go for 10 quarts in a machine, which is a 24-quart machine, and 10 ounces of vanilla. So if it's $6 a liter, what's it costing you for 10 ounces? A third of that, $2? So it's costing you $2 for the vanilla, for a gallon, per gallon for vanilla. So now what are we up to? We're up to $10. Now you want to add some ingredients. You want to, let's say we're going to make, give me a flavor, Oreo cookie ice cream. Now you have a choice on Oreo cookie ice cream. You can buy Oreos, the big brand Oreos, for $3.79 for 2 pounds. It's a 2-pound box. Or you can go down the shelves and buy the Walmart brand or whatever, and that's the same 2 pounds, only it's $1, $12, $7, something like that. So the difference is $2, right? Just do this when I say that, so I'll know you're there. So the difference is $2 on your ingredients. Then let's say you want to add chocolate chips, and you really want to goose it up a little. So chocolate chips, now you can buy the good chocolate chips, which will cost you $58 for 25 pounds. Or you can buy the cheap imitation chocolate chips, and that'll cost you about $10 less. The point is, if you skimp on your ingredients, you're really not making more money. You're making more money, but it's so slight that it doesn't matter. And it's so much better to use the good, real stuff. I don't, as I said, you know, I don't use the cans and bottles and pastes and liquids. So those things, I think, generally run about $20 for a number 10 can. And how much do you use? About half a can in your?
2/3.
2/3 of a can. So your money will go, and then if you add chips, you're adding to it. But if you're using that, it's a different ratio. But let's go with food. So if you're spending $20 what is it costing again for 10 quarts? 10 quarts is $8 in mix. And then ingredients. Let's say you go nuts and you add $40 worth of ingredients in a batch, which I do. $40, that means you're putting an awful lot of stuff in there. It means if you're using peanut butter, you're using the premium Skippy Super Crunch. If you're using cookies, you're using real Oreos. If you're using syrup, you're not using fake chocolate syrup. You're using real Hershey's chocolate syrup or Nestle's or whatever it is. But let's say you got $40 going. Let's say you got $42 just to make it even. So you got $50 in costs to make that batch of ice cream. $50. Sounds like a lot. But how much are you getting out of it? You're going to get at least 8 gallons out of it. So what does that cost you? $6 a gallon? A little more than $6 a gallon? So you have $6 a gallon is what it's costing you. How many servings do you get out of a gallon? There's 128 ounces in a gallon. We serve an enormous portion. We serve almost 12 ounces of ice cream in a portion. Big portion. That's just under a pint. If you did that, so you're getting 10 servings. So you got $60 for 1 gallon of ice cream. And it's costing you $6. So, and that's using prime ingredients and a lot of them. So you don't really have to worry, do you, about, everybody wants to, when you're shopping for stuff, you say, well, let's get the cheaper Oreos. Well, let's get the cheaper chocolate chips, the imitation. They won't know. So just my thing is, just buy the best. It's not going to make that much of a difference. If you can save $15 on a batch of ice cream, well, $15 divided by 8, $2 a gallon you're saving. It's just not worth it when you got 10 servings, and you're going to have more than that. We have 12-ounce servings. You're going to have 8-ounce servings. So you're going to, right? What's a normal serving?
4.
No, it's not 4.
It is for a single scoop.
Well, we don't sell, nobody sells single. Don't sell single scoops. Sell a big portion. Remember, the cheapest thing you got is your product. It's cheaper than your rent, cheaper than your insurance, than your employees, than your utensils, than your machines. Ice cream, give lots of it. So that's just, it just shows you that you're not really saving money.
At Jeff's numbers of $6 a gallon to make the ice cream, that's $18 a tub. The very best, I think, ice cream that you can buy on the market of commercial ice cream is Haagen-Dazs, and it's between $38 and $42 a tub, depending on how much you buy. So let's say it's an average of $40 and you're making it for $18. That's a huge price difference. But I've got to tell you, there is no comparison between what Jeff is making and what Haagen-Dazs is selling. Haagen-Dazs was made in Lodi, New Jersey. It was shipped all the way across the country to Dubuque, Iowa, where it sat out on the loading dock of a supermarket while they decide whether or not they're going to finish their cigarette and then go carry it in. Ice cream is susceptible to what we call heat shock, the temperature going up and down and up and down. That's what makes the ice crystals, not the machinery. It's the changing in the temperature of the product. So you've got a commercial grade ice cream that is only vanilla ice cream with strawberries injected into it. It's traveled more miles this year than you have. It's been subject to heat shock, and then you're going to sell it. It doesn't even compare to what the quality of the homemade ice cream is. And then there's the figure that Jeff can't quantify, and that is that it's homemade. If I come into your town, give you an example, in Savannah, Georgia, there is Leopold's Ice Cream. Been there since about 1923. Stratton Leopold and his wife Mary, wonderful people. Stratton is a movie producer. If you've seen a blockbuster movie, that's Stratton. And he has this wonderful ice cream parlor. Kilwins comes in. And Kilwins opens up a store. Nice looking store. Very pretty. Commercial ice cream. I think they lasted about a year and a half because Mary Leopold's way of making ice cream is if it has more than 4 ingredients in the dairy product itself, milk, cream, sugar, skim milk, she doesn't use it. The Kilwins or any commercial brand, I don't mean to single out Kilwins, don't sue me, I could care less. They're throwing in this stabilizer, this emulsifier. They're throwing in a whole lot of stuff so they can ship it to the other place. The other thing is Mary Leopold, Stratton Leopold, been there since the 1920s. It's homemade ice cream. People come to the store because it's homemade. If you open up in a town and you sell Hershey's ice cream and you're in business for 2 years, I can come into that town and I can open up Steve Thompson's homemade ice cream, all the ice cream made on the premises. I guarantee you'll be out of business in a year because mine's homemade and yours is commercial. There is a huge taste difference, but think about the last time you visited a friend. Let's say you're in San Francisco and your friend in San Francisco says, come on, I'm going to take you out to my fish house tonight. And they take you out to their fish house. Or, oh, before we go, you may want to get your jacket pressed. Here's the name of my dry cleaner. Take your jacket to my dry cleaner. He doesn't own the dry cleaner. She doesn't own the restaurant. It's the ones that, since you live in San Francisco, you take possession of these businesses. People will say, come on, I'm going to take you to my ice cream parlor. It's called Buy Right Ice Cream, or Humphrey Slocum, or Fenton's. People take possession of your business. Jeff's customers don't own Mystic Ice Cream and Ices, but they call it their ice cream parlor because Jeff is a part of the neighborhood. He's part of their family, their realm of where they buy things and where they frequent, and they do it because they know the quality is good. And you can't quantify that. You can't put a dollar figure on it, but it's enormous. I can go into any town and wipe out the Baskin-Robbins. But if you decide you're going to do that, my first question is, why bother? Why not go, instead of Rye, New York, where there's a Baskin-Robbins, why not go to Larchmont, where there's no ice cream parlor at all, and take over the entire business? So use some common sense. Check your ego at the door. Don't say, I'm going to run him out of business. You say, I'm going to find a location where I am the big kahuna in that town. So Jeff's Ice Cream is fabulous beyond belief, better than any commercial ice cream will ever be, and people love it because, hey, old man Jeff's there. They like, no offense to your age, but they like their old man Thompson. They like the fact that old man Thompson is there to serve them ice cream.
Get yourself a sign in the store. Write this down. Put a sign in your store. Every batch made from scratch. People will remember that. And that's as homemade as you can get. Every batch made from scratch. I got that all over my store.
Who has other questions? Yes.
You talked about the Stratton that she doesn't want to use anything but sugar and cream and milk and skim milk. The problem is, can you make your own mix? Can you just put cream and skim milk in the machine instead of using a batch like that?
If you want to make your own mix, you can. You would have to buy a pasteurizer. The federal law says that even though you go to the supermarket and you buy pasteurized cream and pasteurized milk and pasteurized sugar, no, there is no such thing, pasteurized skim milk, you have to repasteurize it. And we recommend a pasteurizer by the VAT Pasteurizer Company. I don't sell it. I don't manufacture it. I recommend it because people value my opinion for some crazy reason. And so I found the best one in the world, and I recommend it. That's all I do. Yes, you can do that. But I have to question it. Because the dairy, who is putting together this blend that Jeff buys and I buy, they have dairy scientists who went to college, they went to grad school, they have done this all their lives, analyzing what goes into the product that is proper for the product. And so they're going to do a far better job than you, who just says, oh, I want to make my own mix. You really don't know anything about it. And I'll ask you a couple of questions which will throw you right off. Do you know that the output of a cow, as far as the percentage of fat in the cream, varies by the time of year? The winter time is different from the summer. So you have to factor that in. You think you're selling 10%? You better know what that cow's producing. Also, do you know the difference, because I don't, between a Jersey cow, a Guernsey, a Holstein? I have no idea. But they all, by breed, produce different fat contents and different makeups. These people went to school to do it. If I was to go out and buy a Ferrari, I'm sure as heck not going to make my own Sunoco 190 gasoline. You know, I'd blow myself up. I also don't know the first thing about making gasoline, just because I own a Ferrari. So actually, it's Jeff who's got you've got the Corvette. And Jeff wouldn't make his own gas. He leaves it to a professional. Yeah, that didn't come out right, did it? Ken, scratch that from the tape or highlight it. That may be one of the better parts of the show.
Roger that.
Yes?
Can we expand a little on ice crystals?
Sure. Ice crystals are formed usually from what I said, heat shock, where I'll let you make your own ice crystals. Go out and buy a good quality ice cream tonight, Haagen-Dazs. And it's rock solid because you brought it home from the store. Leave it out on the kitchen counter and then serve it for dessert. Wonderful. And then put it back in the freezer. Tomorrow night, leave it out on the kitchen counter so it softens up. Scoop it. Pretty darn good. Not much difference. I guarantee you by the third night, you'll have ice crystals in your ice cream, in your Haagen-Dazs, a super high quality ice cream, because you have subjected it to heat shock. You took it from 0 to your warm kitchen temperature, and then back to 0, and then up again, and up and down. That heat shock is why commercial ice cream can never be the quality of Jeff's, because as soon as that truck of Haagen-Dazs leaves Lodi, New Jersey, and nobody's looking, the trucker turns off the reefer unit because that diesel fuel is expensive to keep that truck frozen. And he turns it off and he leaves it off for a couple hours. Everything warms up a little bit, and then it freezes it back down. If you're buying Little Jimmy's Italian Ice and you're in Florida and it's shipped from Jersey, you're wondering why there's all this flavor at the bottom of the can and it's kind of weak up top. He didn't make it that way. He actually made it on my batch freezers. But by the truck driver turning off the reefer unit, or it's sitting out on the corner while someone has a cigarette and decides that they're going to bring it into the store, the change in temperature is affecting it. It doesn't happen in the batch freezer. Once in a while, the Italians will make that claim, and it's absolutely ridiculous. You know what? 19 degrees Fahrenheit is 19 degrees Fahrenheit. If both machines get to the same temperature, there isn't going to be any difference from that aspect. Where the differences in batch freezers come in is, can you put the strawberries into the machine? Can you put the nuts in? Can you put the cookies in? That's what makes an ice cream. And will that machine be around 45 years from now, or is it going to be in the trash heap in 11 years like all the other machines because they use aluminum tubing where I use pure copper? Pure copper is like gold. It'll be here 1,000 years from now. Did you have anything on heat shock?
I have something on ice crystals.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
I think if I interpret what you said, you want to know why certain tubs of ice cream, you open them up and there's ice crystals in there, that's the killer. The worst thing about you can do is let air get to your ice cream. That's why dipping cabinets are notorious. When you go into an ice cream store and they open up a dipping cabinet and there's 16 flavors there, some of them have ice crystals on it. And that's because when you open up the door, you're letting the air get to all the tubs at once. You may only scoop the rum raisin, but when you open it up, the air is getting to all of them. Very rarely do you see an ice cream store cover them up. And even if they cover them up, what you're dealing with is a ridiculous, illogical system. Dipping cabinets. You open it up for one flavor, you're exposing 15 other flavors, or in some cases larger, to air. Air gets in, it creates ice crystals, it looks unsightly. So there's ways to get around that. One way is not to use a dipping cabinet, which is the way I think you should go. Dipping cabinets are ridiculous. Keep your ice cream in its own container and get it from the freezer and scoop it. We're pretty busy at night. We go through hundreds of customers at night. The girls manage to do it with no problem. The other way to do it is not to store your ice cream in large tubs. You can store it in 3-gallon, 5-gallon, 2.5-gallon tubs. But all you're doing is increasing the surface area of the ice cream, which is exposing it to air. If you keep your ice cream in 1-gallon tubs with a nice fitting lid like a Cambro container, it's not going to be an issue. Now, we keep our ice cream in 1-gallon tubs, and then the popular 2, 4, 6, 8 flavors are in 3-gallon tubs. But all you have to tell your people to do is, you to do, is take a spade and just go down the sides all the time, and you won't have a problem. And it's just an easy way to do it. Dipping cabinets don't make any sense to me. I never understood them. Sorry.
We were talking before about the ice cream system, about the hardened cabinets. So do you need a hardened cabinet or you don't need a hardened cabinet?
How are we going here again? Jeff and I do not agree on cabinets whatsoever. I believe that the visual dipping cabinets, except for the gelato cases, which visual dipping cabinets like you see at Baskin-Robbins are going by the wayside because Jeff is mostly right. It gets even worse. The sun is beating down now on this glass case, and it's changing the temperatures of the ice cream. It's wreaking havoc with the ice cream. The other problem is strictly functional in the store. If you've got 32 flavors, which I think is too many, and people come in, they're just going to stare at them and look at them all day long. And once in a while, I hear from an ice cream parlor that they make the mistake of giving out free tastings. And if you've got 32 flavors, believe me, you're going to get someone who's going to come in and say, well, let me try that one. Well, let me try this one. Let me try that one. I talk to about 18 to 20 people a day on the phone around the world, and I average about 20 minutes per call. So I spend a lot of time on the phone. I work from 5:30 in the morning till 10 at night. I have to cut people off after about 15 minutes because people can talk on a subject for hours and hours, and that means I'm hurting all the other people. If you're standing there trying to decide which flavor you want for 5 minutes, there's a line of 10 people. Come on, buddy, let's go. You know, and it's a real tough situation for you as the owner to say, ma'am, mister, could you please make a decision? You know, there's a line behind you. You can't do that. That's one problem with them. These kind of cabinets, which I don't know if they can see off camera, but we had on before, these are the old-fashioned floppy door cabinets. And I prefer these because they hold their temperature much more stable. You put them on the back wall and you have very nice signs that advertise what your flavors are. You know, tonight we have this, this, and this. So if by chance you happen to run out of a flavor and it's a chalkboard type, you can erase it. Or I once made a sign, I think you can see remnants of it around, little stainless steel things. I have one over there that says cream ices, another says Italian ices. They were to mimic what you could put in an ice cream parlor. So if I'm out of cherry ice tonight, I can take that off the board so that people don't say, oh, give me a cherry ice. I'm sorry, we ran out. That's not good. The hardening cabinet is going to depend strictly on the volume of the store and how many flavors you have. If you have a trucking company and you have one truck or two trucks and you have 1 or 2 customers a day, or even if you have a lot of customers but they're going to bring it back today, you could get by with 1 or 2 trucks. If you're United Parcel Service Global Freight System, you need thousands of trucks because you have thousands of inventory. And if you're going to be a very large store, which many of my customers are, single owner, but someone like Leopold's in Savannah could never run their store, they could never do it without hardening cabinets. It's all a matter of inventory. We don't even have to get into this temperature or that temperature. It's strictly inventory. Jeff, I caught him once because he says, and he's not wrong, it's a great way to start out with the Sears chest freezers. I have one over there. But when you get to the point where you got 10 or 15 of them, you're burning some real electricity at 115 volt that one walk-in room, which is what I would want, could solve. I mean, to me, if I was laying out a store, I'd want a walk-in room because I can store everything in there. I can buy walnuts on sale. Instead of getting 1 case, I can get 2, and I can freeze them down, and they're going to be perfect months later. It's just like my batch freezers. People say, what size batch freezer do I need? It all depends on how much money you feel you have to spend and how much you want to make in a day. If you tell me you're going to make 3,000 gallons a week of lemon ice, you're not going to do it with a CB 350. You know, there aren't enough hours in the day. You're going to need a 44 11-gallon machine. It's all relative. But I think the important part, and what Jeff has changed my mind on over these past few years, is the economy's different now. You used to be able to go to the bank and say, hey, banker, I want $100,000 to open up a business. Sure, sign here. You try going to the bank today and borrow $5,000. They don't loan money unless you don't need it. You can't get that kind of money. So if you're opening a business on a shoestring, you buy an Emery Thompson CB350, you buy a couple of Sears chest freezers, you buy a sink, and you're in business. And you work your tail off. And you work long, long hours, and the money comes in. And guess what? As money comes in, then you can afford to buy more equipment. I had a friend, Gino's Ice in Brooklyn. 40 years ago, we sold him a batch freezer. He put a dipping cabinet into the store for free. You know, hey, I'm going to put Italian ice into your business for free. You have no exposure whatsoever. I'm going to give you the first 3 tubs. I'm going to give you the squeeze cups, and the pizza parlor's in business. But he owned the dipping cabinet. He then starts making money. He says, this is okay. I've made money. Now I'm going to take that money, instead of going out and buying a sports car, I'm going to plow it back into another cabinet, and I'm going to go into the next pizza parlor and put a cabinet in there. Free cabinet. And the first few ices for free. And he kept plowing his money back in. Today he is over 1,000 stores in just New York and Long Island by just plowing the profits back in. Instead of rewarding yourself and saying, you know, too many of the millennials, sorry guys, too many of the millennials are going, I deserve this. No, nobody ever said you deserve anything. You can say I deserve this after you've completely fulfilled your retirement commitments and everything else. Then you can start spending on yourself. But during your growth years of the business, you plow it all back in.
Okay. I'm sorry, but the question though still is that once that ice cream comes out of that machine, if I stick it into a freezer that's at 0 degrees, it will be good quality in a day after it freezes hard?
It's going to warm up. If you put 10 gallons into that 0 degree freezer, that thing was designed to hold green beans at 0. If you put a lot of 19 degree ice cream into it, that will warm up the cabinet. If you had 5 cabinets, you could balance it out. But you're limited to how much ice cream you can make today before that cabinet starts warming up. Once it warms up, all hell breaks loose because your ice cream isn't freezing properly. So again, so yes, you need a hardening cabinet as the volume goes up. So in a tight economy, run me the electric line for the hardening cabinet, or plan for me that over there, off camera, you're going to build an 8x8 walk-in freezer. You're not going to buy it today because you don't have the 12 grand to build the walk-in freezer. But start saying to myself, as I start making money, I'm buying that freezer because that's my inventory. That's my ability to grow. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with 15 chest freezers.
And does that walk-in freezer need to be 0 or -20, or what temperature would you want to see that?
The colder you keep it, if you look at a chart for keeping a steak, if you put it into your home freezer and freeze it, a chart from the federal FDA will say it's good for 10 days frozen at 0 degrees. If you take it to 10 below, it's good for 45 days. If you take it to 20 below, it's good for 6 months. So the answer is it's up to you. The colder, the longer it'll last. And then there's the problem that the lady calls up and says, this is, say, last week. And she says, I've got a tub of bubblegum licorice ice cream that I made back in August. And it's at 30 below 0. Is it any good? And I said, yes, ma'am, because it's at 30 below 0. It's as good as the day you made it. Congratulations. However, it's been sitting in your freezer since last September. Your customers are telling you they don't like bubblegum licorice ice cream. It's a lousy flavor. Get rid of it. If you can't turn over your inventory the way Jeff does, he's turning it over nightly or within 48 hours. If you're not turning over your inventory, don't question whether you need the freezer. Question whether or not you've got a flavor that you like. Jeff told me during the break that he made an ice cream, which is a lot of fun. It's called Speckaloos. And it's like a peanut butter consistency, but it tastes just like graham crackers. And it was perfect, except for the name. So tell them what happened with the Speckaloos.
It's not only that ice cream, and Steve takes credit for it. He's the one who came up with this. If you go on Amazon, you all shop on Amazon. Of course you do. Look up Speckaloos.
I have some.
It's right up there on the shelf.
Okay.
Or it's also called cookie butter. And it's in England and Belgium, they make these biscuits. They're like cookie biscuits. And that's what they don't eat peanut butter, they eat this stuff. Now, you ought to pass that around and smell it if it's open, because it's incredibly good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
This brief pause was brought to you by...
It keeps coming off. I think you gave me a bum clip.
No.
You gave me a bum clip.
What are you wearing? Let me tighten the knot.
Anyway, so it's, they don't eat peanut butter, they eat this stuff. So Steve, in one of the classes, made some with it, and as always, he didn't make it strong enough. So I went on Amazon and I ordered a case of this stuff. And once again, you can order the good stuff or the cheap stuff. You know where to go there. So I bought it, and it was amazingly great ice cream. It was really different and terrific. And I put it up on the board, and I gave people free samples. They loved it. Nobody bought it because the name was no good. I called it Speculous. I immediately got rid of that name. Then I called it Cookie Butter.
Lunch has arrived.
Nobody bought it. So then I called it Vanilla Cookie, and now we can't keep it. It's selling so well. I made an ice cream with, you know what melon ball liquor is? That Midori. You know what Midori is? Midori, that green liqueur. It tastes like pineapples or whatever. So I called it Midori. Nobody bought it. I called it Melon Ball. Nobody bought it. And it was great, but nobody was buying it. So I had a thought, and I changed the name to Pineapple Zombie. It doesn't mean anything, but it sells great now.
What a name.
Pineapple Zombie. Sells great. And they ask what's in it. And the girls tell them, it's a little bit of pineapple and a lot of zombie. And that's it. And they love it because it is good. Same with this stuff. Isn't the smell amazing on that stuff? It's really good. Somebody put their finger in it, I think. Anyway, so the name is silly, Speculous. And then even Cookie Butter. Doesn't sound good. So vanilla cookie, and it's selling good.
I guess if you're in Copenhagen, it would make sense.
Probably.
But
We're
not
not
here.
in Copenhagen.
But it's a great flavor.
Just one word on hardening cabinets, blast freezers. We all have our philosophies. My philosophy is most of you are sitting here to open a business on a fixed amount of money. That fixed amount, I teach, can be as little as $12,000, and it can be as much as $2 million. And Steve and he'll tell you, we had people sitting in here who had a budget of $2 million and were nervous that they wouldn't be able to make it. It's because of their unique location, but I started my business on $12,000, and now we're doing very well. But I think most of you are here. When I ask in my class, most people have a budget, and generally it's around between $20,000 and $35,000 or $40,000. That's their budget to open a store. And so if you're in that category, you're just like everyone else. And it's very doable, but you can't expect to have all the Cadillacs in a row on that budget. So when starting out, something like a blast freezer, it's $6,000. It's about $6,000.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even consider that. I still don't have one. And believe me, I can afford it. I don't believe in it. I don't have one. But that's food for another day. But you have to learn what you do need, but more important, what you don't need to open a business. And there's more that you don't need than what you do need. And that, to me, is one of those luxuries that I don't think you should consider in a new business. A walk-in freezer is another one. The reason I still don't have a walk-in freezer is I would dread that power outage or that mechanical failure where my walk-in freezer went down and everything I got is in there. Right now I have 13 freezers in my store. They're just cheap freezers. They work great. If one breaks, it goes out to the dumpster. For $150, I buy another one. But if the walk-in freezer breaks, I don't know anything about fixing them. See that thing back there? That's a reach-in, right? That's a reach-in freezer. If that breaks, what are you going to do? You're not going to pull out your pliers. You got to call a repairman. When is he going to get there? If it breaks at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're cooked because you got a bunch of soup in there tomorrow. So I like the knowledge and the insurance of knowing that my ice cream, the most I'll lose, 15, 20 gallons of ice cream. No big deal. If a freezer breaks. Hasn't yet.
High freezer insurance for sure. 13 freezers running on 115 volt.
My electric bill, believe me.
That electric meter is just...
It's whizzing, but you know what?
It's
You're going to
whizzing.
make so much money, it doesn't matter. You got to put your priorities in order.
Come on in. All right. We
Don't
have a
worry
break.
about spending money on things. You know, there's a very simple formula to making money in this business. Just make the best product you can, charge a fair price for it, and treat everybody like gold.
As you can see over here, the McGuire twins are setting up dinner or lunch for us. And so that's it. We're going to take a break. We're going to turn off the mics and have some lunch. And when we come back, we're going to make some more ice cream and ices.
Are we on? Are we moving? All right, we'll make espresso. And maybe we'll make espresso fudge. We'll see if we have enough. So we'll start with 5 quarts of mix. You're going to stay? No, you don't have to stay.
I'll be right back.
I remember once you said that and you left for hours. I didn't know what to do.
I went to Argentina and back.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, now what we're going to use is, there's a secret ingredient in this, but for now, we won't get into that. Coffee crystals. You know the instant coffee crystals? Oh, I use Folgers, and they're really good. What you have to do is dissolve them so that you don't get chips or whatever. So we're going to take, you want to know how much? It's in the book. There's 3 ounces of coffee crystals, Folgers coffee crystals. And then there's the secret ingredient. Any guesses? I discovered two amazing ingredients that I use constantly. One is Ghirardelli's chocolate powder, which is ground up chocolate, and the other is Ghirardelli's white chocolate powder, ground up white chocolate. And they are terrific. They add so much. It costs you about $100 for a 25-pound box. Again, it sounds like a lot, but you know, you have a choice to make. So anyway, we have 5 teaspoons of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you ever have too much chocolate? No. Okay, so that's that. Now all we want to do is we want to, So we're going to get some hot water, just a little bit, just enough to soup it up, and then we'll put it in the machine. Tuesday, Thursday. Hello? Hello? Okay. Oh boy, look at that. That's something, isn't it? That's great. And that's all it takes is that. Now, of course, the big challenge is to get this into the machine. So we'll give that a shot. What do we have in there so far?
5 quarts of milk.
That's it, right? Vanilla. So how much vanilla should we use? Oh, come on. 5 quarts of mix. 5. 1 ounce per quart. 5. Okay?
Your cannoli, you use 10 just because you want.
No, I use 20 actually in the cannoli because there's no flavor in there except ricotta, as she says. Ricotta, but so you have to, add some more vanilla. That was through trial and error. You'll see what you like. Right. I like 1 per 1. So that's about 5 ounces. Again, you know, not only doesn't it matter, you can't put too much in, and you'll see what you like. I like to have the machine running when I add stuff. Just seems to help things along. So, we'll start this baby up here. We'll go to super premium ice cream. And that's it. There's not a whole lot of ingredients here. We have the mix, vanilla, the chocolate powder, and the coffee. That's it. Now he should have, Ken, are you there? Okay. No, I just wanted to make sure that I'm not doing this, you know, out of the goodness of my heart here.
No, but you woke me up.
Now, if you want to make, this is worth the price of admission, right here. If you want to, if you want to make a swirl through it, like a fudge swirl. You know, you've seen ice cream, what a beautiful swirl. I finally discovered how to do it. After being in business for, it was 4 years, I finally, because you know, people think as it's coming out, you put it doesn't work. So this is how I discovered how to do it, and boy, it works great. This is that chocolate fudge Smucker's that was in the refrigerator. So we'll take a little of this. And if I had my paint thinner out, I could use that, but this will be all right. And you just want to get consistency that you're happy with, because you'll see what we do with it. It's real. Oh, this is great. So that's, can you see it? Yeah? Imagine if I dropped this now, that would like take an hour to clean that up. What? No, not yet. I want to make sure that coffee is really mixed into the ice cream. It looks great though. Do you see the color of it? It's beautiful. All right, so now we'll put that on. All right? In the class I teach, when I ask somebody to turn it on, the refrigeration, ready? Okay. It's like a big thing. Now what we need to make this variegate is we need the ice cream to be in a tub, a squishy tub. Where do you get them? You thought I was just going to come right out with it and let it go, huh? That's proprietary information. Now we can even add a little more. Okay, that's good. I ask you a question. Did anybody have a mind change in what kind of ingredients to use? Did it make sense to use better ingredients? Now, we didn't even talk about Italian ices and cream ice. Does anybody know what cream ice is?
Is it the same thing as sherbet?
It's sherbet. It's sherbet. What you Americans call sherbet. It's sherbet. And I was telling this gentleman right here that if I were to start over again in business, the store I would open up would sell cream ice. That's it. Cream ice. But anyway, that's a horse of a different color. So the ingredients with Italian ices, it's even more pronounced because all you're using is water and sugar. Then whatever you make is it. You know, if you use fake Oreos, you've got fake Oreo Italian ice. If you use imitation chocolate, you've got imitation chocolate Italian ice. So your profit is out of the roof on Italian ice. So why not use, like, you know, the best? Like Ghirardelli, it's $100 or $110 for a box. And they're, ooh, that's all, you know, I can buy this stuff. I can use cocoa and add a little sugar to it. Well, sure you can. But if you're, especially in Italian ice, that's all you got. It's all you got is water, sugar, and that, whatever that is. So make that really the highest quality you can and use plenty of it. Yes?
Did you ever use drink mix?
What?
You know, alcoholic drink mix for ices, for flavoring ices? Because I've used the mango mix, you know, for making mango daiquiris or whatever, and that works pretty well.
You know, that's what I do. I walk up and down the aisles of the supermarket, and whatever I can find that has a lot of flavor. The question was, what was the question?
Did you ever use mix?
Oh, do you ever use drink mixes in your ice cream? The answer to that is nebulous at best, but whatever you can find that has a lot of flavor. When I first started, you know what I was using? I was using Jell-O. I saw, because if you look at the Jell-O mixes on the shelf, they have 100 flavors of the stuff, and some of them are cool. You can't duplicate them with it. So I would buy Jell-O and make ice cream out of it, and it was great. Just use enough of it. But they did all the work for you.
99 bananas makes a real good banana pudding ice cream. If you put the 99 bananas, it's a liqueur.
Anything will make great ice cream. Anybody else?
What happens if you have, in your business, I know you do a lot of adult flavors. Are you regulated by ABC, or, I mean, it's going to be, you know, we're in Virginia, I don't know whether or not. If I did a Jack Daniel's flavored ice cream.
No, you should be fine. You should be fine because you're not selling drinks. You're not selling liquor. You're not selling alcohol. You're selling a product that has alcohol in it. Much like an Italian restaurant sells veal marsala, and they dump that marsala wine into that. Or a bakery makes rum cake with rum in it. You're just using alcohol as a flavor in your food. Just don't start pouring drinks, you know.
Right.
All bets are off. And check the state you're in.
In Ohio, I talked to the guy.
Yeah, but you don't want to live in Ohio anyway.
No. But he said that falls under when you make
You don't want to live in Ohio, do you?
Oh, no.
No.
No, why would I want to do that?
No, you don't want to live anywhere near Ohio. What do we got?
We got good smelling stuff.
Oh, look at that. Almost ready, huh? We're going to make a variegate in it, you know, a swirl, because they should know how to do that.
Good.
He's been
Here's-
using big words while you were going.
Oh, gosh.
How do you spell nebulous?
I can spell it, I just don't know what it means. Isn't that the fourth planet from the sun?
That's what I have to deal with. Who was it? You, sir, in the back, in the plaid shirt. Come here.
Uh-oh. You're in trouble now.
Bob. That's the stream of water. All right?
Not very much.
And feel it. All right? Okay. He paid extra for that. That's not on your tour. That's on the one above you. You get to
It's the old water
feel
temperature.
things, see things that nobody else sees. Okay,
He gets on the rides first.
we're almost there.
Oh, then I'm going to clean out my machine.
Okay, we are almost there.
Oh. You know what? When you're cleaning out a machine, always remember to close the gate.
You keep saying you're almost there. How do I know when you're there?
You'll know. You'll know. After one day, you'll know. Good question, because I normally pull it now, but I want this a little firmer because we're going to make a swirl in it, and you don't want it to just be soupy. So this one, normally, see how it breaks, how it chops off there? See that chop? That's pretty much when it's ready. That, and when it goes down there and keeps the peak. When it just doesn't go right in, keeps the peak, then you know you're ready. Okay, we are ready. Don't try this at home.
Yeah, right.
Now, also, by the way, your first 3 months in business, you'll gain 40 pounds. And then you'll understand that you can't do that.
Well, that's interesting. I once taught a lady how to make ice cream. We made about 15 batches throughout the day, and every time we made a batch, she took a spoonful of ice cream. And at the end of the day, I said, "Did you mean to eat 15 ounces of ice cream?" And she said, "I didn't do that." She said, "Yeah, you took a spoonful of every single batch." So don't fall in love with your own product.
Okay, now watch this. This took me 3 years to figure out. You see what you have here, the tub of ice cream. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this, and the consistency will be what you decide. And you're just going to pour it on the top. And then you take your spatula and you fold, not mix, just fold with like one. And then you need a pliable container so that when you pour it, you can squeeze this, and then you'll get that beautiful variegate in there. Isn't that something? Beautiful.
Beautiful.
And that's it.
Ta-da. Come on up and try it. You're not all jumping out of your seats like you were this morning. Are you through in here? I'll just throw some water and get it going.
I am.
I totally accidentally missed it. Just when you put it in here, did you stir it a little tiny bit when you put it in here?
I folded it,
Okay.
that's all.
Well,
Just
I
fold
totally
it.
missed that.
I'll tell you what, if you grab your thing, I can do this.
That's right, otherwise you'll eat it all.
Now, would you freeze this product overnight and then serve it tomorrow?
I would. I would.
And even the frozen along the side, kind of liquidy, that would freeze up fine and be just like
Everything will be
Right
fine.
on.
It'll all be fine. Ah.
Sorry about that.
Oh, look at that. Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Oh, hey! That's it? Nobody else? Oh, come on. Come on, let's go.
Nope, not for me.
There's no alcohol in it.
No, but I got to keep my
Anybody have some?
fighting weight.
I got to taste this, see if it's any good.
Okay. I'll keep things moving, Jeff, and I'll go next.
Not bad. Not bad.
Did these all come out blank?
No, she left blank here for us to write on if we needed it.
Oh, okay. Did everybody get a blue raspberry?
Oh, boy. That's pretty good.
I got one right here.
Okay. So does everybody have the blue raspberry? Did you get that? Okay. We're going to make that next.
Does she want to take this?
Yes.
Or you don't want it?
No, we want it. What are you calling it?
Espresso.
Espresso. All right. Excuse me. I'm going to sneak past.
What are you calling it?
Connie? Okay.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
By the agenda says espresso chip. No chips?
Well, Steve didn't supply me with any chips. And I didn't bring enough for both the cannoli and the coffee.
Raspberry.
But it's good to point out the versatility of the fact that you can make cannoli, you can make espresso chip or espresso fudge or espresso walnut or espresso almond, espresso, you get the point? Okay.
I'm going to get mine going.
What?
I'm going to get mine going here. 4 quarts of water.
How many? 4?
Yeah.
Okay. How much sugar?
I'll tell you in a sec. Three-quarters of a pound.
3/4 pound, 12
Yeah.
ounces.
And 1 quart of blue raspberry. Okay, now we're going to make the blue part of the red, white, and blue rainbow ice. And we're going to make the blue raspberry. I'm using the iRice blue raspberry water ice base.
That's all? It's 12 ounces?
Yeah, because there's so much sugar in here.
Oh,
Jeff.
okay.
Nobody's listening, so I'm just going to carry on. All right, so if anyone's listening, I'm making the blue raspberry, and I'm putting in a quart of the, I know, nobody else is. So this is where I put in the powdered gold, and we'll add some titanium to this, too.
How many ounces of water? How many quarts of water? 3?
4 quarts of water.
4?
Yeah.
Why is this different?
Well, let me check my math. Is that 4 quarts? It seems like a lot.
It looks like a lot of water and a little sugar.
Yeah, hold on then. Let me look at the gallon of base. So we're using a quart.
So that's
3 pounds of
1/4.
sugar would
3/4, you're right.
3/4.
And
20 quarts. That's 16 quarts of water.
so you need 4.
4 quarts.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay, so we've got the blue raspberry here, the most salient. Well, I said that about 20 minutes ago. That is 1 quart. And we have the sugar. You all have the recipe out there? Okay. 3/4 of a pound of sugar. And the 4 quarts of water.
Right there.
Right here. Okay. So I'm going to even this up a bit. It doesn't matter how many containers I use because it's all going to end up in the same machine anyway.
Did you rinse my machine or not?
I have water in there now.
All right, I'll do it.
Not a lot.
Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. This is iRice Company.
He was here.
Yeah, one time. Excellent bases. If you're going to use an Italian ice base, the iRice is the best that you can get. Yes, I period rice, R-I-C-E.
Tell me, what is
in
a base?
Philadelphia. A base is a gallon jug of flavor, sugar, and water. So I'm going to pour this in. Make sure the gate's
not
closed.
concentrated, is it?
Not super concentrated. Now again, the primary reason I'm using this is because I want the blue for the red, white, and blue. Okay, all the ingredients are in. We turn on the CB350, 6 quart, set it to Italian ice. Start, that's running.
How
Turn on
many
the
revolutions
refrigeration.
is Italian ice?
234 revolutions
The
on my
maximum,
machine.
right?
That's the speed of the dasher, yes. We'll set that for 11 minutes and then take a look at it. So now that's freezing. And that'll be the third flavor in the rainbow ice. Any questions? No, everybody's quiet. I think you filled them up with all the ice cream they can eat. I'm sorry? I did. I stood there very carefully and watched them. They make machines that do that. You have one in your car, it says RPMs. Now, that's not your speedometer. So when it reads 7,000, you're in trouble. Yes. No, it's not. This is an excellent base if you want to make if you want to find a blue raspberry ice. If you wanted to make it all natural, you could do blueberry ice instead of raspberry. But the color comes from F, D, and C blue number 1. It's a favorite with children. There's a question I saw.
Yeah, so if I bought, I'm most interested in the 24th batch freezer. But if I want to come up with a strange flavor I don't know if it's going to sell, can I make 10 quarts instead of 20 quarts?
In the Emery Thompson 24 quart, you can make a half batch. So yes, 12, 24, and 44, you can make half batches. On the smaller machines, you have to make a full batch. Because without it, there isn't enough product in the machine to work. It would freeze against the walls. But you shouldn't have to do a whole lot of experimenting. If it sounds like an awful flavor, it probably is. So the Sharknado was great. That was actually a cherry Italian ice with, candy corn for the teeth. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I'll bring that back. It didn't work the first time, so I'm going to keep trying. There was a question. Yes? Could I do a what? The question was, could I use a snow cone concentrate? I wouldn't. The snow cone shaved ice flavors are the cheapest flavors on earth. If you want to see it, eat a snow cone and see how blue your hands are. I mean, that's not something I want. It is completely different. Yeah. I think if I was going to make this product again, I would use blueberries, and I would probably use a natural extract from Green Mountain Flavors. And then you could have an all-natural blueberry. I wanted this for the dramatic effect. It's so blue that when you see the final product, it's going to be red, white, and blue using our divider. That was the thing is, there are no videos out there how to make rainbow ice, and all the wholesale Italian people will never tell you. No one will ever tell you because they want you to think it was that great-great-grandfather from Genoa, Italy. So I wanted to show people that it's just as simple as having a divider for the tub and making 3 different flavors at once. You know, a little more work as you saw, but that's about it. Just filling up one section, put in the freezer, another section, freezer, another section into the freezer. And then you have something that most people, most Italian ice sellers don't have. It's a great business. Italian ice is just, it's so profitable when you think about it, just selling mainly sugar and water. Sugar from the supermarket and water from the tap.
Do you sell those dividers and tubs?
Yes, we sell the dividers. We don't sell tubs. There's plenty of places to get them. This is just so you can see a small version. I did this so you can see it in clear plastic for the end result, but that would go into the version that we sell goes into this size. So it's made larger to divide this tub up into 3. That's a standard of the industry. So that works very well. 2.5 and 3 gallon are the same diameter. It's just that the 2.5 is tapered and the 3 isn't. Otherwise, when you use a dipping cabinet, they fit the same way. It's interesting, just for fun, to find out why there are 2.5 gallon tubs and 3 gallon tubs. There's a story to everything. When all ice cream was homemade and made on Emery Thompson's, because there was no other machine in the world, back in the 20s and 30s and teens, that's 1900, ice cream was always in 5 gallon pails. The mix was delivered in 5 gallon cream cans. You've seen those big, heavy cans. And so ice cream was actually double this size. It was 5 gallon tub of ice cream. Then quickly they went into 2.5 because this is easier to carry around. There weren't enough people who were strong enough to lift 5 gallon pails all day long, and they were made out of stainless steel and not plastic back then. So the wholesale people finally came along, and wholesale ice cream is made, commercial ice cream is made on a long, narrow tube that costs about $100,000, and at the end there's a $40,000 machine that injects flavors in the end. So Haagen-Dazs today is vanilla ice cream with strawberries injected into it. When they wanted to go sell against the homemade ice cream people, they went from 2.5 gallon to 3 gallon, kept the diameter the same because it had to fit into their dipping cabinets, but they said, see, buy from us. We're going to give you 3 gallons for the price of 2.5. And that was their sales pitch. And that's how 3 gallon came around. So nowadays you still have the commercial people like Breyers and Bluebell and Hershey selling 3 gallon containers, whereas everything for the homemade business is in 2.5. Your mix is in 2.5 bags. The flavors, my jug of blue ice is based on 2.5 gallons, and all your formulas are based on 2.5. So you'll hear 2.5 and 3. Our machines are rated 24 quart. That makes it 3 gallons. The ice cream people run it as a 20 quart machine, making 2.5 gallon tubs. That's what Jeff does. And the wholesale people, since you're not measuring out from a bag, you're measuring out from the sink, they'll run 3 gallons just because it takes longer to freeze sugar and water, and they're getting another extra half gallon in a little bit more time. But you'll always hear 2.5 and 3. Homemade is 2.5, commercial is 3. After Jeff makes his last product, I'll give you a tour of the factory. What you'll see is that we hand make every machine. And we have this factory, and we have the building across the street. Across the street, we do all the we do a lot of the machining on CNC computerized machines. We make all the panels. Over here, we make more machine parts. We do the frames, and we do all the different assemblies. It's a walk-around assembly. So when you order a machine, we're not standing around waiting to build you a machine. We have orders going back quite a bit. And so what you're doing is you're buying a place in our production line. So right now, delivery time is 4 weeks from when you order a machine. This is February. As we get into April, it'll go up a little bit, maybe to 5 or 6 weeks. Yes? What's the difference between a soft serve mix that you put in a machine and this mix? Well, in this particular case, a high quality soft serve is 10% butterfat. It'll never go higher than that. The machines can't tolerate it. So most soft serves are somewhere between 4, Dairy Queen is 4%, that's practically water, and all the way up to 10%, which would be Carvel up in New York. So everything falls in that range. We start in hard ice cream at 10% and go up to about 18%. The main difference in the mixes is, since you're pulling it out one at a time, the soft ice cream mixes have drying agents in them,
Have what?
more chemicals
Have what?
that will drying agents. Yeah, so that the product will come out looking dry on the cone, and they also are formulated so they won't melt very fast. You can hold it for quite a long time. That's what always made Carvel so good up in New York, Tom Carvel's product, because he didn't do all that fooling around. He made his own mix, or had it made to his formula, and as soon as you got in the car, it's melting everywhere. And back then, our parents were driving cars with genuine simulated leatheroid seats, otherwise known as plastic, or you had cloth seats. So, parents really didn't mind. Of course they made a fuss, but they didn't mind it was melting all over. That was half the fun of Carvel. Nowadays, you're driving around in a Lexus or a Mercedes or a BMW, and this ice cream melts all over your leather seats. People aren't very happy. So they have put agents into the product to make it have a slower melt ratio. In other words, it's not a very good product. Carvel used to be machinery that we called gravity-fed. This would be what you would call gravity-fed. The natural incorporation of the spinning is putting air into the product. The commercial, the frozen yogurts, the Taylors, the electro-freezes, they pump additional air into the product. So where normally you would want a 40% overrun in a soft serve, you're going to get about a 70. And they say to Jeff, the store owner, buy my machine. For every gallon you put in, you're going to get all this extra volume. And he says, man, that's fantastic. I'm making a fortune on every cone. What they're not telling you is this stuff tastes like whipped cream. It's bland, it's blah, and he may be making more money on one cone, but nobody's coming back. They're never coming back because the product is so awful. So a Tom Carvel doing an old-fashioned gravity-fed machine continues on forever. And if you want to use machine, there are thousands of soft serve machines out there that you can have. Let me find a container to test this. Oh, look at that color. Whoa! Isn't that beautiful? So that's almost there. I'm going to let it freeze a little bit longer, and then we'll put it into our rainbow product. So hard ice creams mixes are much more pure than the soft serve products. There are laws of diminishing return even in ice cream. I can't tell the difference between a 14 and a 16, and I sure can't tell a 17 or an 18. So I was once approached by Godiva. They asked me to make a 22% butterfat ice cream, which we had formulated down at Rutgers. Then we added Godiva chocolate to it, and we made it. It was the richest ice cream that had ever been made in the history of ice cream. Within an hour, all my employees were sick, and the stray cat that ran around the Bronx factory was dead. So it had repercussions that was not going to bring it to market. You can go way overboard. And I hear that from people. Hey, if they're selling 14, I want 30% butterfat. Or if you're selling 50% overrun, I want no air in my product. Well, that doesn't make sense. That's not what the product is. This is ready. I'm going to go over to the freezer here and pull out our little device. So again, earlier we made the lemon ice, the white. We made the red strawberry, and now we're going to put in the blue.
And tell them that when it firms up afterwards, we'll be able to scoop it and try it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll put this back in the freezer for a few minutes. Jeff will make another product, but look how beautiful that is. And then when we pull the divider out, we'll have our three flavors, and we'll scoop in a semicircular motion, hitting all three flavors, giving us a true rainbow ice.
Okay, ready?
Pull her out.
All right, we're going to make, for the first time, we're going to make an adult flavor here from my store and my list of recipes. And it will be white chocolate Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio. And since we had coffee in there last time, I want to just give it a little bit more of a rinse so that we don't have coffee Pinot Grigio.
What did you use for coffee? I didn't get to see.
Folgers coffee crystals.
Okay. Did you tell them that they can also make it decaf?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. I once
Why don't
made,
you tell them?
I made coffee for, I like making the coffee also. It's such a great flavor. My sister and her husband moved down here from Chicago, and she saw all this ice cream in the freezer, and she grabs a coffee ice cream. I said, don't eat that after 6 o'clock at night. Yeah, fine, okay. So I don't see her for a couple of days. I get a little worried. Finally, she shows up at the factory. Her eyes are down like this, and she's totally haggard. I said, what the hell happened to you? She said, I sat down at 10 o'clock at night before I went to bed and ate a pint of your coffee ice cream. I've been up for 3 days. You know, it's so intense in coffee, it'll keep you awake. So I did switch over to, you can buy decaf. The fact that it's the frozen freeze-dried crystals, whether it's Folgers or another brand, the crystals are what make it because they dissolve so nicely in the ice cream. But you can do a decaf version of it, and you won't know the taste difference. It just won't keep your sister up all night for 3 days hating you. So it's a good idea.
This is more of a cream ice or sherbet than it is an ice cream. It's real good, but you'll be surprised when you see what we use to make it. What we've got, just if you want to write it down, you don't want to write it down, do you? You do? All right. Ah, you do, huh? All right, we have 1 quart of mix. And we have 72 ounces of water. And we have 72 ounces of sugar. Go, baby, sugar. So what we've done just so far is we dissolved the sugar into the water. And we'll pour that in. This is really good. Now, when you use stuff that's not normally sweet, like Pinot Grigio, you have to add sugar. Well, you don't have to, but nobody will buy it if you don't. Okay, so that's the water and the sugar. Then we add this, which is the Ghirardelli white chocolate powder. And how much? How much you think? Well, it's dry measure, so what do you think? Goes by weight.
8
How much?
ounces.
12 ounces. 12 ounces of white chocolate. And you'll taste it. That's really what makes the difference in this. And then we have our 32 ounces of cream. We'll start it up while we're doing this so it gets a good mix.
Now that's the mix or?
What? Mix. Ice cream mix. What we've been using all day. And then we add Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio. What? How much? Well, we'll start with this much.
Now, you can't do this in any other machine because the machine doesn't have, all the other machines on the market don't have enough refrigeration capacity to be able to do this. In fact, in books like Malcolm Stogo's books, he tells you to add the wine as it's coming out or at the last minute because the product won't freeze. Alcohol never freezes, it just stays in suspension. But the product has to be able to be cold enough in the Emery Thompson to be able to put that much alcohol in.
So we'll add this much to that much. And there you go. It's if you bought single bottles, it's 4 bottles.
Yes. Excuse me?
Of course.
Oh, absolutely. All my
And
machines
I
are the
got to
same.
tell you, half of my business is based on adult flavors, flavors with alcohol in it. And without this, I'm not there.
Dry heavy margarita.
Margaret's pretty good, isn't it?
Right.
Okay, so, well, okay, we can go up a little. 234. You don't just do that, you have to keep doing it?
Keep tapping. Would you hit a lower speed?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, now, that's it. So you got everything. It was the mix, the Pinot Grigio, the water, the sugar, and the white chocolate. Now, are you beginning to see that you don't have to use Pinot Grigio? Have you been to Sam's Club? They sell Choco Vino, the chocolate wine. Well, you can make chocolate wine ice cream. Just add that instead of the Pinot Grigio. I make a chocolate Cabernet and a chocolate chip Merlot at the store. Pretty good. The whole thing is you want the flavor. And, you know, most people are afraid to add so much of the wine. But it just depends on what you like, you know, the flavor you like. Whoa, that's great. It is, that's great. So what was the question? 234, max.
Homemade ice cream.
Homemade super premium ice cream. That's what it says. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're making like a Malbec or a Pinot Noir, or you still use the white chocolate powder?
That's a great question. In the red wines, I use the dark chocolate powder. In the white wines, I use the white chocolate powder. So you've seen the two cork trick, right? Where you take the two corks like this, and you just have to, that. Pretty simple, right? You can do that, right? Pretty simple. All right, real slow. You can slow this down at home.
It didn't do me any good.
You can do that, right? Start with them in here, and then just bring them out to there. Go ahead. I'm going to serve this in these, all right? A, because we're out of bowls, and B, that's a good thing for this, right?
Okay, I do have more bowls.
Where?
There's a package up there. You might find that hard to scoop into.
Yeah, I was looking for the bowl. I didn't see any. Did you get that? Take your finger off. What's the question? Let's say you want to make a what? Mojito, yes.
Then I will go with the light chocolate.
Sure. If it's, well, you decide. But the problem is if you use the dark chocolate in the clear wines, it's going to color it. And it may not look as good. In the white, you know, it's okay to temper it a little creamy, you know, little chalky look colored. In the red wines, mojitos are clear, like a, yeah. So I would use the white, yeah. What's in a mojito? Yeah. What? Cane sugar. And what is it that you have to, what is it called? You mull it? What is it? Muddle? Muddle. What do you muddle in the glass there? Just wondering if she knew how to muddle. She's a muddler. She's a muddler. Any other questions? That's it. Okay. Did you get that?
No, I didn't.
What do you mean? It's very simple.
It is not very simple.
Look, I'll do it real slow.
Come over in the
Start
camera,
here.
Jeff.
What?
Come over in the camera where they can see.
I want, all right. Real slow, okay? And all you do is you take it from the crook of your thumb, right here. Couldn't be simpler.
Oh, it could be something.
Take it from here, right there, and right out.
Jeff, what would you say if I could top that?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, everybody. Right here we have Jeff's book money. There. Okay. Wow.
Whoa,
Wow.
whoa, whoa.
That was good. There you go.
You know what it is? When you're in the ice cream business, you make so much money and you have so much free time, you need hobbies. Okay, now what do you want to talk about? That's it? You know
That's it.
everything
They
there is
know
to
everything.
know.
Probably is. That's not my flavor.
Well, the longer you leave it, the more it'll settle. It's just water
Sure.
and flavor.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
just because it's not under refrigeration at all.
How long have you run it?
She asks a lot of questions.
That's
doesn't she?
good. She's going to do well.
How long have you run it? For how long have you run it?
Till it's done.
10 minutes?
I don't know.
Oh, see, there's one in every crowd,
Well,
Jeff.
I don't know. Till it's done.
Well, how long does it normally take to be done?
I don't know.
12 minutes?
No, it's alcohol.
It takes longer than,
Sure.
okay. I think the answer is when you put alcohol in, it takes longer to freeze.
So still, you didn't give her an answer. How long does it take? I don't know. When it's done, it's done. That's it. You know, vanilla ice cream at 9 o'clock in the morning will take about 8 minutes. Vanilla ice cream at, it'll take about 12, 13 minutes. Vanilla ice cream at 4 o'clock after you've been making ice cream will take 7 minutes. Because the machine's nice and cold. So, and if it's real cool in your room, it'll take less. If it's real hot and humid, it'll take longer. So all these things come into play. That's where the art comes in. You can't have a book. In my book, you won't see 12 minutes, 8 minutes, 6 minutes. You can't do that. You get it? Did you get that? What's that?
I'll give you an answer, I'll try. I have an older building that we're looking at, and there's not a three-phase power available. So I know he makes a single-phase power machine, but what's the difference between the two? And
What's the difference between single phase and three phase?
Okay, the question was, what is the difference between single phase and three phase? In the United States of America, in North America, Mexico, Canada, United States, every building that exists has 220 volt single phase power. That's the power that comes in from the pole and is brought into the building. And then in your garage, if it's your house, they then take the 220 and divide it down into circuit breakers. So there's one for your bedroom, one for the toaster, one for the TV. Those are 110 volt, all in what we call single phase or residential power. Your clothes dryer is 220 volt though. That brings in from the street and right 220 volt. If you have an electric oven, 220 volt. So my machines will run in your living room. They'll run in your garage. They'll run in your bathroom because we build 220 volt single phase. Three phase power is found in factories. I have three phase power here. I have enough power in this building to run 3 other buildings. And three phase power is still 220 volt, but it's a not a stronger 220, but how do I put it? If I could run this building on 100 amps of single phase power, if I had three phase, I could run it on 50 amps. Half as much would be needed. The problem, and it used to be up until about 10 years ago, that if you wanted to bring three phase power into your store, the power company would do it because they were in the business of selling power. Now the power companies are in the business of keeping out of the trouble with the federal government. In fact, when we moved down here, they said, tell us how much power you want, we'll give you 80% of what you want. So you can't get three phase for sometimes, it used to be $5,000 to bring it into a store. And there was an advantage then that they gave you maybe 25% off the cost of running the power for this machine. Nowadays, there's no discount. It's not to their advantage to bring it in because they're not allowed to build more power stations. So single phase is what you want. The Italian companies, which is everybody else, and the Chinese, only build in three-phase power. So what they don't tell you when you buy that new Cappigiani or that used one on eBay is it's three-phase power. So if you're going to set it up in your brand new store, you buy the machine and then you buy a phase converter, which is about a $3,000 item. And it converts the power from single to three to run the machine. The downside is you can only run for about 4 hours before the phase converter overheats and shuts off. Phase converters don't usually last more than about 6 years. So you have to keep buying them $3,000 every 6 years, just because the Italians don't want to build the machine to suit. The other thing that happened is, again, with these Italian machines and this three-phase power is 10 years ago, most of you would own your building. You're building it, you're putting in an ice cream parlor, you own the building, you say, okay, $20,000 to bring in three-phase, fine, I own the building, it'll pay for itself over the life of the building. You don't own the building anymore, now you rent. So you set up this great ice cream parlor, you spend $20,000 to bring in three-phase, you buy three-phase equipment, and the landlord after 2 years says, hey, that's some hot business she's got. I think I'll not renew their lease and I'll go into the ice cream business. Happens all the time. And so now you're stuck with all this three-phase equipment and nowhere to go with it. So the bottom line is we build machines to the location it's going. I have a machine going out this afternoon to Malaysia, and it is 440 volt, 50 hertz. US is 60 hertz. And we built that machine the ground up with motors made in America for that voltage. It would be as if we built the machine in Malaysia, ready to just plug in. Nobody else does that. But what you're looking for always is single phase. Is there a downside to single phase? Not really. My air conditioning units out here are all single phase. They have two $30 parts, a start capacitor and a run capacitor. About once every 10 years, they burn out. That's what starts the motor. And when it burns out in 10 years, you unplug it and you plug in a new one, you're back in business for another 10 years. Three-phase doesn't have that. But I don't have to buy a transformer for $3,000, or I don't have to try to bring in the power, and I don't have to worry about, will I still be in the same location 20 years from now? So three-phase is to be avoided at all costs. And it's taken a long time for people to understand that, because the old-timers would say, oh, three-phase, it's stronger. No, a 3-horsepower motor is a 3-horsepower motor. Just like the CB200 here is available in 220 volt or 110. And people say, which is better? And the answer is neither. If you don't have 220 in your kitchen, then 110 is better. So it really, we build machines to match the location that you're going to be in, not the other way around. We don't say, this is what we offer, take it or leave it, or modify your location to match us. We will match you. That's three-phase.
Okay, that's everything you want to know. That's like the PSI in a football. You don't get it.
Okay.
Okay, this is the last thing, right?
Yes, and then you serve that, and then I'm going to serve up the
Okay.
I'm going to have them sit down
Will
with
you
the
all
rainbow.
try this? Yeah? Ah, a wine drinker.
How much more time do you have on that?
I'm ready whenever you are, I think. I'm pretty well there.
All right, let me...
Well, let that sit as long as you can.
No, this is good. I'm just going to pull it out and show everyone. Ken, are you ready? Okay, so we've got our 3 flavors. See them? Red, white, blue, all in there with the divider. And let me just sneak over here. And we just pull this straight up and out. Can I give you that? Thanks. And now we have our rainbow Italian ice. 3 flavors.
And
So
when
we-
you scoop it,
Will you? Oh, okay. I'll do the honors. You scoop it. I'm not a very good scooper. There you go. You hit all 3 flavors. So there's your rainbow ice. That's how you do it. That's probably the most complicated thing in the frozen dessert business you'll ever make, and you just saw how easy it was.
How do they make that Superman ice cream? It's like kind of the same theory, but
The what? Which flavor?
Superman is just a swirl version of this, and that takes a $100,000 machine to do it. So this you can do it for $10,000.
But you could probably
This is Italian ices, and what you
If you want to do ice cream, if you want to do
well,
Well, but
you'll
think
most
that
likely
you
end up
need
with
all
mush.
three flavors at once, which is a tricky thing to do.
Yeah. So there it is.
Okay, you want to try this?
Yes.
Okay. I don't serve you. Where do you get a load of this?
Connie, do you want to try the Pinot Grigio ice cream? Okay. Lisa, you want to try Pinot
It is
Grigio
the
ice
heaviest.
cream? It has alcohol, though. Do you want? Come on in. Sorry.
Well, because there's not much dairy mix in it to fluff it up. Just like Italian ice. You know, you're getting pretty much what you got. It is pretty good, isn't it?
Success?
Hey! You want to try this?
That's okay. They're mostly for demo.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
That's my wine.
Well,
Tell me
you'll
how it
like
is,
it
Vonda.
then.
I'll take mine to go too. Wish I could get it on the airplane in the morning.
Uh-oh, here comes the true taste tester.
No, he's working. So, everyone, that is our presentation. And if you have any questions, you can write to me at steve@emerythompson.com. You can call here anytime with any questions. We'll be glad to help you. As you know, probably already, there's 110 hours of videos up at our website. Now there's going to be 115 hours of video. So any questions you have, you can find a lot of answers there, but you're welcome to call us anytime. And if you're full and ready, I'll be happy to give you a quick tour of the factory. So I'll make you stand up again and come with me, and we're done.
You haven't finished our wine yet.
You like it? It's
You
pretty
can bring
good,
it with you.
That's good. I like that one.
That's implying she didn't like the others.
Correct, I know. I read that.
No soup for her.
This is like
just because I own a Ferrari. So actually, it's Jeff who's got the Corvette, and Jeff wouldn't make his own gas. He leaves it to a professional. Yeah, that didn't come out right, did it? Ken, scratch that from the tape, or highlight it. That may be one of the better parts of the show.